Douluo. Starting from the spirit of time worm, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476 Letter. Without the organization of Wu Hao and Hu Jia, chaos began. Zhao Yan and Zuna stood leisurely in a corner of the square, watching the melee in the field. No one bothered them. Wu Hao and Hu Jia's team first cleared out the group of people who were originally close to Beishan, and then took action against those who did not join forces with them. In the end, there were roughly 3 parties left in the field. Zuna and Zhao Yan are a group of people united around Wu Hao, and a group of people united around Hu Jia. Wu Hao and Hu Jia started fighting, but neither of them took it too seriously. Waiting for the final spot to be decided. Half an hour later, the selection competition came to an end. After Vice Dean Hu Kan announced the results, Zhao Ning laughed wantonly. Ha 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 ha. I won the bet, seemingly. Feeling that he was a little embarrassed by his triumphant appearance, Zhao Yu silently moved away from him. Instructor Ruolin, who recruited Zhao Yan and granted him such a long vacation, had a happy smile on her face. Her professional title rating could be improved again. The elder, known as Old Man Huo, looked at Hu Kan with a smile on his face. Haha, it seems that your idea did not cause any trouble for Master Zhao Yan, but it was Beishan who was in trouble. Hu Kan laughed and said, it's not specifically aimed at classmate Zhao Yan. I had similar thoughts before, and he happened to bump into me. Old Man Huo didn't believe his sophistry and smiled. A caravan shuttled across the huge empty black plain. More than 20 black-scaled horses pulled carriages, except for the middle one, which was used to carry people. The others were filled with cargo and covered with oilcloth. They were raised like hills. Almost ropes crisscrossed it to hold it in place. A young man wearing light yellow clothes and looking somewhat elegant followed the side of a carriage, constantly looking around. On the same side and behind him is a man with slightly darker skin, a resolute face, and a cold look in his eyes from time to time. Starting from the middle of the Black Territory Great Plains, even if you enter the Black Corner Territory, be careful and cheer up. The young man in front said, yes, brother. The man behind nodded. After Zhao Ding and Zhao Li accepted Yan Meng's commission, they did not use the entire Moti mercenary group to escort them. They just went into battle lightly and called 3 powerful confidants. Although they don't know much about the Black Corner Territory, they also know that the strength of the Moti mercenary group is simply not enough, and the entire mercenary group will only bring unnecessary casualties. They disguised themselves as a small mercenary group and accepted a hire from a caravan in the nearest small city. Using the caravan's cover, they entered the Black Corner domain. When we first arrived at the Black Territory Plain, the unique geographical features here amazed a few people who had never been before. However, after looking at this almost identical scene for a long time, I felt a little tired of aesthetics. Yan Meng also came with them. The fighting skills scroll was always on him and was not given directly to Zhao Ding, and Zhao Li. He yawned uninterestedly and looked listless. Mr. Yan Meng, have you been to the Black Territory Plain before? I see that you have been very calm from the beginning, and you are not curious at all. Zhao Ding took the initiative to talk. A pile of black soil is nothing to look at. Yan Meng shook his head slightly. What is that? Zhao Li pointed to a small black dot in the distance and asked doubtfully. There was some interest in Yan Meng's eyes, and he replied with a smile. It's very interesting. That's the Black Storm. The leader of the caravan looked in the direction of their gaze, with a trace of nervousness flashing in his eyes. Everyone, get moving and run quickly to the crack in the ground ahead. The entire caravan became nervous and moved forward much faster. There are many ravines scattered on the Great Black Plains. These ravines vary in size. The large ones are even tens of feet wide and thousands of meters long, like an abyss. The small ones are only 1 or 2 feet wide and more than 10 feet long. Under normal circumstances, these ravines are obstacles to the progress of caravans. Because of them, the forward speed is greatly reduced. In order to get around, it often takes 1/5 longer to go down point, but they can save someone's life during a black storm point under the command of the caravan leader. One carriage after another, mercenaries and clerks hid in the cracks in the ground quickly, but without appearing chaotic. Hold onto the truck for a while, don't be blown away. Once caught in the storm, there is only one way to die. The leader reminded point as the black storm continued to approach. The black scaled horses pulling the goods uneasily paved the soil with their hooves. They instinctively felt the danger. The drivers patted the horses' necks to relieve their tension and prevent the black scaled horses from losing control in fear, causing chaos and causing losses to property and people. Xiaoding suddenly discovered that Yan Meng was missing. He immediately looked around, but could not see him. Just as he was about to ask the people around him, a strong airflow blew from above. The sand and dust blown by the wind blocked the light, making the world dark. In addition to Xiaoding, Xiaoli and others, the caravan also hired 2 other small mercenary groups. An experienced mercenary shouted, "Keep your body down, and don't poke your head. Stones blown by the wind may kill you." Amidst the howling of the strong wind, Yan Meng, who was wearing moon white clothes, met another figure wearing a black robe and exuding a faint black mist. "Did you get the stuff?" Yan Meng took out the silk, took off the crystal monocle on his right eye, and asked softly, "Here." The black-robed Meng protector handed a scroll to Yan Meng. This is the scroll of 3000 thunders. Yan did not send fighting skills to Xiao Yan at all, nor did she issue escort tasks to Xiaoding and Xiaoli. It was Yan Meng's intention from beginning to end. He acted in the name of Yan. However, at the beginning, Yan Meng only took out a low-level fighting skill of the yellow rank to fool people. At that time, he did not have any earth-level fighting skills in his hands. In the name of Yan, Xiaoding and Xiaoli were asked to escort Xiao Yan, not only to make up for the opportunity of 3000 thunders, but also to let Xiaoding and Xiaoli avoid the protector Wu. "Then, I'll leave first. I will be active in the Blackhorn region for a while. If you need anything, just contact me." Meng protector said lightly. Yan Meng nodded, then jumped into a smaller crack on the side. His strength was not strong, and the black storm was enough to pose a fatal threat to him. The reason why he could talk in the storm, as if nothing had happened, was that the fighting spirit of the Guardian Meng blocked the impact of the storm. After Yan Meng hid in the crack, the Guardian Meng put away his fighting spirit and no longer maintained the shield. He flashed and disappeared on the spot. When the storm passed, the caravan withdrew from the crack in an orderly manner, and Yan Meng returned to the team. "Mr. Yan Meng, where did you go before? We are all very worried." Xiaoding showed a little anxiety on his face. Yan Meng patted his chest lightly, with a face full of fear. "I was also scared. I ran into the wrong crack and hid in another one. It's okay. Xiaoli breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, a white crow with a black circle on its right eye flew from the sky. Yan Meng stretched out his hand, and it landed accurately on the back of his right hand and spit out a ring. He took the ring and probed his soul power into it. It was empty except for a letter. Yan Meng opened the letter and his face changed slightly. He handed the letter to Xiaoding and whispered, "You can read it yourself." Xiaoding took the letter and glanced at it. He was struck by lightning. He stepped back a few steps with an expression of disbelief on his face. "This is impossible. Xiao family, how could Xiao family? What's wrong, big brother?" Xiaoli looked puzzled and took the letter from the stunned Xiaoding and then showed the same expression. He looked at Yan Meng and asked hurriedly, "Is this true? Can the news be confirmed?" Yan Meng nodded slowly. "This is the means Yunlin sect uses for emergency communication. Generally, there will be no mistakes. I will ask about the situation again. Please accept my condolences." Chapter 477, Formal Employment. Xiaoding and Xiaoli looked distraught. The letter said that the Xiao family was jointly destroyed by the Jiao family and the Oba family. The whole family was killed. No one survived. How could this happen? Xiaoli murmured, his eyes bloodshot. Xiaoding clenched his fists, his nails embedded in his flesh and blood, and the slight pain barely maintained his sanity. "I want to go back for revenge," Xiaoli suddenly said in a hoarse voice. "Brother, you can give the things to my third brother. I will go back now." "Calm down. Can you beat Jialibi and Abapa?" Both of them have been promoted to the Great Fighting Master for many years. Xiao Ding held Xiao Li's shoulders, and his 5 fingers were so strong that they turned white. Yan Meng said, deliver the things first, and the rest will be discussed when we go back. I can mobilize the power of Yunlin Sec to help you. Xiao Ding did not refuse, and said solemnly, thank you. If I need it, I will ask you for help. Under the persuasion of the two, Xiao Li finally calmed down. The voice of another mercenary team came from the front. Hey, the ones behind, let's go. What are you still hesitating about? Hurry up and catch up with the main force. You are all left behind. Okay. One of my brothers here is a little stimulated. I will catch up now. Yan Meng answered loudly. In the dim sky and earth, a huge cyclone connecting the sky and the earth was raging on the black domain plane. The terrible power destroyed the trees and buildings on the plane one by one, and the ground seemed to have been scraped off by a knife. In the black storm, a figure wrapped in thick black fog, and unable to see his appearance, floated in the eye of the storm, moving with the huge cyclone. From time to time, chains stretched out from the black fog, hooking away the souls of those who were unfortunately caught in the black storm and died. I'm lucky this time. There's a small town on the path of the black storm. This month's share should be enough. After hooking away the soul of a Dowling who seemed a little dazed after death, the Owl Guardian seemed to sense something and flew in a certain direction. He saw a person who was also wearing a black robe and surrounded by black mist. However, the other person's mist was much thinner than his own. Soul Envoy Meng, you're working again. Your performance reward is already the highest level. You can take a few days off. The Owl Guardian persuaded as a routine. Amon threw his soul bag to the Owl Guardian as usual, and responded with a smile. Efforts may not necessarily bring rewards, but no efforts will definitely bring no rewards. That's right, but people are not puppets or something. They have to combine work and rest. Opening the soul bag and taking out the soul inside, the Owl Guardian was stunned. After feeling the strength of this soul, the Owl Guardian asked in surprise, a Daozang? No. You killed a 7th grade alchemist. He felt that the Meng Guardian could not kill the Daozang, and the probability of killing an alchemist with the same powerful soul but weaker strength was greater. This Amon said in a pleasant voice. Owl Guardian, can you introduce me to the elder? I think I should be qualified to be officially called Meng Guardian now. As he said, he stepped into the air and slowly came to the front of the Owl Guardian. Protector Xiao looked as if he had seen a ghost. Under the heavy black fog, a clear and melodious female voice like a lark came. You have become a Daozang, Protector. Xiao is a woman. Amon was a little surprised and immediately responded. A man should be treated with new eyes after 3 days of separation. I'm no longer Wu Xiao Amon, Protector. Xiao realized that he had lost his composure just now, and asked again in a hoarse tone, did you use the secret method of swallowing souls? Amon shrugged and said with a smile, everyone has their own secrets, Protector. Xiao pondered for a moment and muttered, okay. I didn't expect it to be so fast. I thought you could work for me for a while longer. She looked at the soul bag in her hand again and realized that the soul body in it was really the soul of a Daozang. Protector Meng might kill a Daozang strongman as soon as he entered the Daozang. After hesitating for a moment, she whispered, since you are qualified to officially become the guardian of my soul palace, you can give this soul body to the elder yourself. Amon smiled and shook his head. Thanks to the cultivation of the Owl Guardian, all the contribution points of this soul body will be given to you as my gratitude and reward for introducing the elder. The Owl Guardian smiled and said, you are smart. If you encounter any problems in the Soul Palace in the future, just come to me. As long as you can afford the price, I can solve most of the troubles for you. Come with me. I will take you to the Soul Palace. Led by the Owl Guardian, the two quickly flew eastward. The plain below gradually turned into hills, and the trees growing on the ground became taller and denser. A chilly breath gradually came from the air, and an open space appeared in front of Amon. Above the open space was a hall built of black stone and dark grey metal. In front of the hall, black metal pillars stood tall, and thick chains connected the pillars one by one, faintly showing the momentum of a formation. Amon didn't know much about formations and couldn't tell the function of this formation. The Owl Guardian landed in front of the Soul Palace and opened the iron grey metal door. Amon took a step and followed behind her. The Owl Guardian reminded, the one in charge of this soul palace is Musun Leo. This is also the only branch of my soul palace in the Blackhorn region. When you meet Mr. Musun, you don't have to be too reserved and just maintain normal politeness. He is a relatively easygoing person. Even if I do something wrong, he rarely blames me. Besides, I mentioned you to him before, and he really admires your way of doing things. Easygoing. Amon pondered the meaning of this word in his mind. How strange he thought it was. Is this word really suitable to describe the people of our soul palace? Passing through the long dark passage, we came to an empty hall. Sunlight falls from above, creating a circular spot on the ground point compared to the hallway. The hall looks very bright. The space above the hall was slightly distorted, and Amon had a look of understanding on his face. Looking at the soul palace from the outside, the entire hall is sealed, and there are not even windows. However, looking out from the inside of the hall, you can see sunlight, white clouds, and birds flying by. It seems that the space is distorted. Effect point in the hall far away from the exit of the passage. There is a chair with a dark color, but a simple and elegant shape. Sitting on the chair was an old man wearing black and cyan clothes. His eye sockets are sunken and his face is wrinkled, but his eyes are bright. He set his sights on the guardian owl who walked in, and forced a smile on his face. Dragon. Protector Zyro, why are you here again? In recent times, you have been returning to the Soul Palace a little too frequently. The old man said in a gentle voice. It's not that his subordinates are too diligent. Protector Zyro complained in his heart, and waved his hand nonchalantly. They won't come so often. This is the Soul Protector I mentioned. From now on, we should call him the Protector of Souls. Chapter 478. So Lao. Musun Leo stared at Amon with his piercing eyes sunken into his eye sockets and said, I heard that you took the initiative to join the Soul Palace and became an envoy under the Protector Zyro. Starting from the Protector, he is regarded as a formal member of the Soul Palace, and the Soul Envoy is the power of the Protector to develop on his own. Generally speaking, a respected elder would not care about the situation of a small soul envoy. However, judging from the not very respectful attitude that Protector Zyro had towards Mr. Musun just now, Amon guessed that the identity of Protector Zyro was not simple. What Musun Leo really paid attention to was the Protector Zyro, and he was incidentally included in the observation object. So the situation of Zyro Dharma Protector is actually similar to the children of company executives coming to practice in the company. No wonder her painting style seems to be incompatible with other Soul Palace protectors. Amon looked at Mr. Musun and nodded. Yes, can you tell me why you want to join the Soul Palace? For power. Amon answered without hesitation with a smile on his face. Musun Leo nodded slightly. You made a right decision, and my Soul Palace can give you strength. Work harder. He was already crazy enough. If he tried harder, he might not be able to kill all the Black Corner territory. Protector Zyro opened his mouth and closed it again. Amon said seriously, I will. You'd better say goodbye. I don't want to be implicated and hunted down by some strong man because of you. If this continues, everyone in the Soul Palace will probably start shouting and beating me. Old Musun touched the ring on his index finger with his right hand. A faint white light flashed, and a copper token appeared in his hand. Raising his wrist slightly, the space was distorted, and the copper token floated quietly in front of Amon. This is your guardian card. From now on, you will no longer be subordinate to the guardian owl, but will directly take orders from me. You can come here to submit your soul and redeem rewards. Mr. Musun didn't say much, and seemed rather cold. If there's nothing else, just go down. Yes. Amon walked slowly out along the path he came from. After he left, only Mr. Musun and Protector Zyro were left in the hall. He's already like that, and you still encourage him to kill? Isn't this inconsistent with the purpose of our secret operations? Protector Zyro asked. Musun Leo replied with a smile. This is an order from above, requiring us to speed up the collection of souls, even if more are exposed, even if it arouses dissatisfaction and hostility from all parties. It doesn't matter. After a short pause, he continued, there is a smell of an approaching storm. Among the Soul Clan, I can only be considered a middle-level member, and I don't know much. Didn't your brother tell you? It should be clearer. I sneaked out while he was in seclusion. Protector Zio said something that almost made old Musen's heart stop. Musen Leo was silent for a long time before he said, "Why don't you go back to the soul world, Miss Solao? If you have any accident here, your brother will skin me. The soul world is too depressing. I want to stay a little longer." It is said that my brother's bloodline was not very good back then. He started out as a protector and finally became a high-ranking member of the clan. I also want to give it a try and see if I can do it all over again. His path. The Solao did not deliberately make his voice low and hoarse, but said in his original clear voice, "A big event has happened in the soul world recently. I think you will be interested in it." Musen Leo said in a persuasive manner. The Solao became interested. "What's going on, Master?" Soul Miasma, one of the 3 sword saints, wants to challenge Master Soul Mirror, one of the 4 demon saints. If I hadn't been stationed here, I would have wanted to go back and watch the battle. Musen Leo said with a hint of regret. "Oh, he's itchy again." Hanal didn't seem surprised at all and nodded calmly. In Soul Emperor City, Ziozen and Amon were walking on the street, looking at the various shops on both sides of the road, with a little surprise in their eyes. Unlike the deathly silence and depression he imagined, the lives of the Soul Clan people in the Soul world seemed to be no different from the outside world. The shops on both sides sell not only all the items related to cultivation, but also a small number of medicinal materials, magic cores, elixirs and other items used for cultivation. More are some daily necessities: seeds, curtains, clothes, tableaux. There are children running around on the street with candy figures. Occasionally, they accidentally bump into practitioners, who are very powerful at first glance. They are not beaten or blamed. Often, those who are bumped have to comfort them. Children who dropped candy or fell to the ground crying. Ziozen and Amon stopped. In front, there was a man who looked like a young man and was wearing a black hunting suit. He was looking helplessly at a little girl next to him who was crying and wiping snot and tears on his trouser legs. TSK, it's really interesting. Your soul world actually looks like this. Ziozen and Amon pinched the socket of his right eye and said with great interest, "Otherwise?" Hunqiu, who was following him, asked, "I thought that your soul clan had a strict hierarchy and obvious hierarchies. Those in high positions could bully the weak at will, while those at the bottom were exploited and oppressed, and they lived in constant fear." Hunqiu shook his head. "It is said that it was like that in the distant past, but since the clan leader took charge of our clan, this situation has changed. He attaches great importance to ordinary people and does not allow those in high positions to bully them. Under his guidance, the people at the top do not mind giving more tolerance to these people. Of course, it is limited to protecting ordinary people. Those who have stepped into practice and strive to develop upward are not included in this. Generally, the boundary is Dao Wang. Those who are Dao Wang and above need to go to the Soul Hall inside the Soul Realm to register and become a preparatory member of the Soul Hall. On the road of cultivation, our Soul Clan still believes that the strong are the kings and implements a strict and even cruel competition system." The young man in front finally used a candied horse to appease the little girl and get rid of her clutches. He turned around and looked in the direction of Ziozen and Amon, saying, "Hello, you came out of seclusion." Hunqiu, "I've been out for a few days, and now I'm carrying out the task given by the clan leader." Hunqiu said calmly, "I heard that you are going to challenge the Soul Mirror. Yeah, I will definitely not lose so badly this time. I have learned a new heaven level fighting skill." The young man replied with a smile. He then said, "When are you free? Let's go for a drink. We 3 swordsmen haven't gathered for 2 or 3 years." Hunqiu shook his head. "Let's talk about it later. I still have a task." "Task? Well, he is the leader of the Zio clan, and my job is to keep an eye on him." Hunqiu raised his chin towards Ziozen Amon, "The leader of the Zio clan." The young man looked at Ziozen Amon and said suspiciously, "He looks weak. Do you need to keep an eye on him?" The clan leader's order, "Don't be so rigid, just find a Daozen to keep an eye on him." The young man said carelessly. Ziozen Amon looked at the young man with a smile on his face. "Hello, I'm Ziozen. What's your name?" "Hun. Clan, Hun Miasma." The young man did not ignore Zio's and Amon because of his weakness and responded with a little arrogance. I think you are a good looking man. Do you want to be my son? Zio-Zan Amon smiled and stretched out his right hand with 5 fingers open. Ah, me. Hun Zhu pointed at himself. With a puzzled look on his face he looked at Hun Qiu with a questioning look in his eyes. Hun Qiu smiled and said with a hint of joking, you decide for yourself, Hun. Zhu glanced at Hun Qiu, then at Zio-Zan Amon, holding his chin with a thoughtful look. Hun Qiu was slightly surprised. No, are you really considering it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479, Godfather. Hun Zan thought in his mind why the clan leader would specially arrange Hun Qiu to watch a small Dao Shi point. The 3 swordsmen are the hidden power of the Soul Clan, and they all have the strength of the 7-star Dao Sheng, although they are still a little behind the 4 demon saints who have been famous for a long time. They are definitely the top figures of the Soul Clan. Hun Qiu's style of doing things is very cautious, and he likes to do things himself. If it weren't for his strength being too strong, and the ancient covenant that prevented people above the 5-star Dao Sheng from walking on the continent, it would not be Hun Mi Sheng who controls the Soul Palace now, but him. Zio-Zan still has a certain degree of freedom as a captive, so there must be something that the clan leader appreciates or cares about. Hun Zan quickly flashed through various possibilities in his mind. The whereabouts of the Tuosh ancient Emperor Jade, it shouldn't be. The whereabouts of the ancient jade is certainly important, but if it is just to know the whereabouts of the ancient jade, the greater probability is to imprison Zio-Zan and torture him severely and threaten him with his clansmen, family, or other important things, rather than feeding him like this. The guarding of Hun Qiu is both surveillance and protection. Could it be that the Zio clan is hiding some unknown secret? This secret can bring huge benefits to the Hun clan, but it requires Zio-Zan to actively cooperate, or maybe 1,000 years have allowed the Zio clan to come out of decline. Now we are only looking at the appearance. The real Zio clan is hidden somewhere unknown. This clan leader is fake. He is just a liaison pushed by the Zio clan. Has our clan reached a strategic cooperation with the Zio clan? Hun Zan looked at Zio-Zan with a scrutinizing look and suddenly laughed, opened his arms, and shouted sincerely, Godfather. The surrounding Hun clan members looked at Hun Zan, who was standing in the middle of the street and shouting loudly, with strange expressions on their faces. Some people who recognized Hun Zan's identity looked at him in astonishment. Their eyes moved between him and Zio-Zan. Their eyes were full of doubts faced with the strange looks from passers-by. Hun Zuo was not moved at all, and did not look embarrassed at all. As if this was the most normal thing. Zio-Zan also showed a little surprise on his face, but quickly recovered and showed a warm and kind smile. My son, I see that you are very promising, and you will become a great man in the future. With the appearance of a dowdy, Hun Qiu's eyes were a little dull. Although he knew that his little friend was a little bit out of tune, this was a little too out of tune. You just met, and you recognized each other as father and son. He coughed twice and reminded, this is the patriarch of the Zio clan. Hun Zan waved his hand nonchalantly. I know, so I'm the young patriarch of the Zio clan. He approached Zio-Zan and smiled. My father, although I also think I'm very talented, I'm still a little bit away from Dowdy. Do you have any good ideas? Even if I can't reach Dowdy, let me improve a little. For example, the prescription and main materials of the 9th grade Zuandan. Zio-Zan shook his head. The position of the young patriarch of the Zio clan has been taken. It is my son Zio-Yan. As for the elixir, well, I can consider giving it to you later. Okay, I will definitely assist brother Yan and help him expand the Zio clan and regain the glory of the family. Hun Zan clenched his right fist, bent his arm, and made a come on gesture in front of him. Hun Qiu's mouth twitched, and he said in a cold, emotionless voice, what's wrong with you, Hun? Zan said to him solemnly, Hun Qiu, this is my adoptive father. We are good friends, So he is also your Uncle Zyro. Remember to be respectful, hun. Qiu muttered in his heart. Why did you randomly claim a father and involve me? Don't you know that the Zyro clan is the biggest enemy of the Hun clan? Be careful that the clan leader really treats you as a member of the Zyro clan. He stepped forward, grabbed Hun Zan's shoulder, and exerted the power of space. The two disappeared from the street in an instant. Zyro Zan looked at the two people who left abruptly, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. A translucent worm with 12 rings, star-like colors, and squirmed away from his calf, and fell to the ground with a click. The people around the yard where Han Misheng took him before were all very powerful, and his weak clone couldn't do anything at all. But this Soul Emperor city is different. There are many weaker ordinary people living in it, who are not even fighters. A master level clone can already lurk. In the distorted space, Soul Qiu looked at Soul Zan seriously. What do you want? He is a member of the Zyro clan. There can be no jokes about the position. Soul Zan shrugged. You are too serious. The clan leader may care a little, but he will not alienate and reject me for this reason. Did you find anything when you were monitoring Zyro Zan? Soul Qiu frowned and shook his head. Except for being very brave and calm, there is nothing else to find. Soul Zan responded with a smile. The Zyro clan must have some big secrets. Even if there are none, it doesn't matter. Calling me dad won't hurt me. If I can get something out of Zyro Zan, it will be a big profit. Soul Qiu rolled his eyes. Just be happy. The two of them appeared on the street again. Han Zan waved goodbye to Zyro Zan, smiling cheerfully. Godfather, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Zyro Zan raised his right hand, pinched his eye sockets, and laughed softly. Interesting. Then, he looked at Han Qiu again. He made a wise choice. What about you? Do you want to reconsider it? Han Qiu ignored his words and his eyes stayed at the crack of the rock paved with the road at the feet of Zyro Zan. He stretched out his right hand and gently grabbed it. The spirit worm that Amon had just split appeared in Han Qiu's right hand. He looked at Zyro Zan without joy or sadness. The latter did not speak, but just watched quietly. The two looked at each other for a long time before Zyro Zan said, your perception is much stronger than I expected. The spirit worm suddenly exploded with a bang, leaving only scattered flesh and blood. Then, these flesh and blood gradually disappeared in the golden flames, and finally dissipated between heaven and earth, as if they had never appeared. Han Qiu's tone was slightly cold, with a hint of warning, saying, don't make some small moves. I will suggest to the clan leader to reduce your range of activities. There was doubt and thought in his eyes. The spirit worm that suddenly appeared, died, and disappeared just now was different from any kind of magic beast he knew. A brand new species? Or has it already existed in the Zyro clan since ancient times, but we just haven't discovered it? Han Qiu was not careless about these strange things, and remembered some of their characteristics in his mind. Chapter 480 Entering the Inner Courtyard. As the top 5 in the selection, Zyro, Yan and Zuna are eligible to go to the library of Canon College. To pick something. Going to the library pavilion with them were Hujia, Wu Heo, and a classmate from the outer college, who took the place of Beishan in the original work. They followed Weisteen Hukayan, and walked from the underground passage of the outer courtyard. Along the way, Zyro, Yan and Zuna chatted with each other, whispering to each other, with happy smiles on their faces. Hujia followed the two of them, with a look of sorrow and anger on her face. Zuna, my Zuna, why do you feel that after Master Zyro Yan came, she laughed more times than in the past 2 years combined? Wu Heo smiled helplessly. We really can't compare to him. He is very strong, much stronger than us. I won't give up. Compared to you, Zyro Yan is at least a little inferior to me. Hujia looked unconvinced. What? Wu Heo was confused. I'm a woman. As long as Zuna knows that there is nothing good about stinky men, she will definitely fall into my arms. Hujia looked serious. Wu Heo. After walking out of the tunnel, they met Kanbei and Erleo, and entered the library. They saw the wall that was spewing out a large amount of light containing treasures. After figuring out the mechanism of this place, they all started to grab those light groups. This time, Zyro Yan's choice is still the sonic fighting skill. Even though his strength is much stronger than that of the original work, at the same time, his fighting skills that can surprise him during combat can still make his fighting methods more diverse, which can sometimes work wonders. Unlike Amon, he can use Buddha's wrath fire lotus to create flowers. Although King Meng's existence allows him to use this move with almost a thought, he will not give up his basic skills because of this, and will only regard this as a trump card point. After receiving their reward, they returned to the outer courtyard point in the early morning of the next day. When it was still light, the team from the outer courtyard to the inner courtyard set off point under the leadership of Vice Dean Hukayan, and escorted by several elders. 50 freshmen who had obtained places in the inner courtyard rode a huge griffin and advanced rapidly in the air below. The roars of monsters echoed through the forest from time to time, causing some of the less timid students to shiver and look a little pale. Strange. Where are those 6th level monsters? A Dalwang elder whispered point in the past. Every time when escorting students passed by, those 6th order monsters would stare at them coldly from below, exuding an aura to intimidate them. Even elders like them, who were fighting kings, would feel great pressure and worry about which 6th order monsters would temporarily lose your mind and rush forward to attack point, but this time, they didn't see any 6th level monsters. Even the occasional 5th level monsters glanced at the academy's team from a distance and slipped away. Point Hukayan answered their questions. Some time ago, something happened in the forest. Someone was hunting monsters. The 6th level monsters nearby were either killed by him or fled to other places. As he said that, he shook his head and sighed. Well, this may not be a good thing. The 6th level monsters that originally ruled these mountains and forests have reached a tacit understanding with the academy. In the future, new ones will come, and they will still we have to communicate one by one. Even if the 6th level monsters don't take action, they just exude aura from a distance and stare at them, which will bring a lot of pressure. Without these interferences, the team's speed was much faster than before. After flying for a short while, it stopped point amidst the strong wind and shadows of the flapping wings of the Griffin. The students came to an open space point. Looking at the empty space, everyone had doubts on their faces and looked at Hukayan in confusion. Point only Zuna still had a slight smile on her face. Point space lock. She had seen this kind of method many times in the ancient tribe. Hukayan waved his hand, and a burst of energy shot forward like a bolt. In the scattered brilliance, a door with a silver door frame slowly opened, and the silver ripples rippled like water. Let's go. Hukayan said calmly. Point the group of people followed him and disappeared into the silver light door. After they left, the light door automatically closed again, and the ripples in the space slowly calmed down. Point the 3 old men seemed to have been waiting behind the light door for a long time. After them, there were some young people, and some students saw a few familiar faces among these young people. Look, isn't this Senior Lin who entered the inner courtyard last year? A fat girl poked the student next to her and said, well, you here to welcome us? The boy on the side guessed in a low voice. Point, while the classmates behind him were whispering. Xiao Yan focused his attention on the one standing slightly in front of the middle among the 3 old men. Point, although the other party just stood there and did not send out any momentum, for some reason, he felt great pressure from this person, even surpassing Hukayan and Yan Jin. Hukayan looked at the old man and was slightly surprised. Great elder, why are you here too? Hukayan smiled and stroked his beard and responded, because today's students are a bit special. As he said that, he glanced at Xiao Yan intentionally or unintentionally. Point Xiao Yan's eyes met with his in midair, and he couldn't help but look away, muttering in his heart, could it be that Xiao Meng did something in the inner courtyard that made him notice me? Thinking of this, he felt helpless. His purpose of coming to Canon Academy was to see if there was a chance to take away the fallen heart flame. Now, he was noticed by such a strong man as soon as he entered the inner courtyard, which was not in line with his plan to keep a low profile. Point, when Hukayan looked at Xiao Yan, the students behind him also looked over. A man in white clothes said without disguising his voice, he can't be the young master Xiao Yan. I have seen his portrait at the witch before. Yes, it's him. Someone responded. Zhao Yan seemed to attract the attention of these inner courtyard students more. Even the two beauties Zuna and Hu Jia were ignored, and everyone looked at Zhao Yan with burning eyes. Zhao Yan's eyebrows jumped, and his face suddenly collapsed. He almost had a stress reaction when he heard the title Young Master Zhao Yan now. Before, when he was in the outer courtyard, although he defeated Bei Shan strongly at the beginning and established his prestige, he was often attacked by others afterwards. The people who attacked him usually called him that. Hu Qian looked like he was watching a good show. He was a little disappointed that he couldn't see Zhao Yan's limit in the previous melee. He hoped that the students in the inner courtyard could be more powerful. He introduced to the students, "This is the great Elder Sukan who is in charge of the affairs of the Prime Minister's inner courtyard. Behind him are Elder Su and King." At Sukan's signal, Elder King raised his palm and threw out a handful of black crystal cards. These black crystal cards stopped in front of the 50 freshmen who had just entered the inner courtyard, including Zhao Yan and others. "This is the fire crystal card, or your student ID card in the inner courtyard." The voice of Great Elder Sukan sounded in their ears. Zhao Yan took the fire crystal card and felt a warm feeling in his hand. He looked down and saw a red number printed on the surface of the crystal card. 5. He keenly discovered that after they got the fire crystal card, the group of old students in the inner courtyard who followed the three elders seemed to be more excited, and their eyes seemed to be shining. Could it be that this fire crystal card has any special function? Zhao Yan thought in his heart. Chapter 481 Reward. Sukan briefly introduced the functions of fire energy. The number on this fire crystal card is what we call fire energy. You can simply understand that this is a currency used by the inner court. Canon Academy encourages competition. In order for you to better experience this atmosphere, where the strong eat meat and the weak are bullied, next, you have to face an interesting little game, the fire energy hunting competition. You need to walk through this less dangerous forest on your own and enter the inner courtyard. But it should be noted that according to the rules of the inner courtyard, fighting is not prohibited in this forest. They can attack you at will. So, Qian pointed at the group of old students behind him, took out a fire crystal card, and pointed the side with numbers toward the new students. The fire energy on the fire crystal card in your hand is the target they want to snatch. Now, you have 15 minutes to hide, escape, or find collaborators. By the way, if you can survive the numerous pursuits, there will be a little surprise at the end. Looking at Sukan's meaningful smile, Zhao Yan had a hunch that this so-called little surprise might be surprise rather than joy. I declare that the fire energy hunting competition begins now. As the words fell, the freshmen who had passed the trial and entered the inner courtyard, some actively gathered their friends and entered the forest in twas and threes. Some were alone and quickly rushed towards the forest, and some had not yet reacted. The students, led by the people around them, began to hide. Zhao Yan and Zuna looked at each other, kicked their feet on the ground, and jumped into the forest together. Hu Jia and Wu Heo followed their pace without hesitation. "Why are you two following us?" Zhao Yan couldn't help but ask. He and Zuna originally planned to use flying fighting skills to fly over. Who knows how many holes Zhao Meng dug for him in the inner courtyard. Zhao Yan was worried that if he advanced to the inner courtyard in the normal way, he might enjoy the same treatment as in the outer courtyard and be beaten by a group of people. The power of the Buddha's angry fire lotus is huge, but Zhao Yan himself cannot control it well, so he must not be able to use it in a battle of this nature. In a normal fight, he wouldn't be able to defeat so many people. I have seen the students' fire crystal cards, and the numbers on them are all 5. In other words, for the old students, no matter who they hunt, the harvest will be the same. Wu Heo analyzed calmly. So, in order to gain more, they should try their best to hunt weaker targets instead of picking strong people. Let's join forces. The 4 of us join forces. Even if we encounter Lao Sheng's team, if you can fight with it, you will have greater confidence in passing through this forest. Hu Jia looked at Zuna with expectation in her eyes. Zuna looked at Zhao Yan, waiting for him to make a choice. The latter pondered for a moment before replying. "Okay, maybe we can try to steal Lao Sheng's fire energy in turn." Hu Jia and Wu Hao couldn't help but show slight astonishment, extremely surprised by Xiao Yan's thoughts. But they reacted quickly. The identity between hunter and prey may change at any time. Good idea. Wu Hao nodded approvingly. I also want to try it and see what the expressions of those old students will be after they are robbed by us. Hu Jia's face showed excitement. After reaching an agreement, they quickly determined the plan, with Wu Hao acting alone as a bait, and the other 3 hiding in secret. The old students who hunted all acted together in teams of 5, because those who can enter the top 50 in the outer court are not too weak. Although the overall strength is not as good as them, there is a possibility of overturning if they are careless. A team of old students saw Wu Hao alone and surrounded him. Hey, junior fellow student, why are you alone? Are you isolated? The leader had a snake-shaped scar on his face and showed a malicious smile. Hand over Huo Neng, so as not to suffer a severe beating. Looking at the person coming, Wu Hao smiled. I didn't expect that my bait would be quite effective and someone would take the bait so quickly. Seeing Wu Hao's confidence, the scarred young man shook his head. When I first entered the inner courtyard, I was as unruly and rebellious as you. My seniors taught me the humility that I need to know in life. Now, I also teach this principle for you. His left hand formed a palm shape, wrapped around his right hand, clenched his fist, and squeezed the bone joints to make a click sound. The sound of rustling sounded, and Xiao Yan, Zuna, and Hu Jia walked out of the trees in several different directions, vaguely showing a counter-surrounding attitude. An old student crossed his arms and said with a bit of disdain, Linge, they seem to want to attack us in turn. Lin Jet, who had a snake-shaped scar on his face, was slightly stunned and smiled coldly. I don't know how high the sky is. Isn't this young master Xiao Yan? He focused his gaze on Xiao Yan, his eyes filled with greed and excitement. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows. Do you know me? Lin Jet chuckled. Someone has issued a reward for you. To steal the new fire energy, you must stay for 2 days. Each of you freshmen only has 5 days of fire energy on their fire energy card. In other words, even if you grab all 50 freshmen, you will only have 150 fire energy at most, and your reward is a full 500 days of fire energy. You are a big fish, and all the teams are watching you. Hu Jia and Wu Hao looked at each other and suddenly realized that they might have boarded the wrong ship. Xiao Yan is strong, but he is also a big trouble. What are the conditions for the bounty? Who issued the bounty? Xiao Yan's eyes condensed slightly. He sighed in his heart. Fire energy is obviously not easy to obtain and is very precious. Otherwise these old students would not pay so much attention to it. What virtue do I have to receive such a grand treatment? As soon as I entered the inner courtyard, I don't need to think about it. It must be thanks to Xiao Meng. Ling Jie was in a good mood and replied, the condition is to beat you up. As for who offered the bounty, I don't know. But this task is already on the task list of the inner courtyard, and it has been fairly by the elders. The publisher is anonymous, but there are not many people in the inner courtyard who can be so generous and have this motivation. It should not be difficult to find out after you enter the inner courtyard. Okay, Xiao Yan, take the beating obediently. Don't worry, I will be gentle. Just hit your face. Just hit your face, right? Xiao Yan's mouth curled up a smile. Since you answered so many questions for me, I will be gentle. The brilliant fighting spirit burst out, shining. The forest quickly returned to calm after a period of excitement. Green, with a bruised face, lay on the ground, looking at the sky, his eyes full of confusion. In the blink of an eye, the battle was over, and he didn't even understand what happened. Chapter 482, Gata Keeping Team. Ling Jie could feel his physical condition. He was not injured much, but his head was a little dizzy. His face hurt a little. Did he lose? He turned his head to look at his 4 companions, and found that 2 of them had fallen to the ground like him, but their injuries seemed to be more serious than his. There were 2 others who did not fall down, raising their hands in surrender. In order to avoid a beating, they gave up resistance after the 3 people in the team were quickly dealt with. 0. Yan grabbed Ling Jie's collar and pulled him up from the ground, revealing 2 rows of white teeth. I said, since you told me so much information, I will not be gentle. Just hit your face. But There are still some things I don't understand. I want to ask you. I hope you won't let me down. Ling's dizziness gradually improved, and his thinking became clearer. The clearer his thinking, the more bitter and helpless he felt. Damn, are all the freshmen this year monsters? First it was the witch, then Zhao Mingru, and now there is a Master Xiao Yan. It's getting harder and harder to get into the inner courtyard. You ask. Ling Zhen is a hero and knows the current situation very well. How many seniors are participating in the fire hunting competition? 40. They all act in groups of 5. They are all searching for you in the forest. But it is said that there is a very strong team waiting for you at the finish line. This is the practice of previous years. There have been cases in the past where freshman teams defeated seniors and broke through, but without exception, they were defeated by the last team. We guess this should be a deliberate arrangement by the elders of the college. They know the level of the freshmen, and they also want to use the hands of seniors to polish the students who have just entered the inner courtyard, so that they will not be arrogant. Ling Zhe had no intention of keeping secrets for other teams, and even welcomed it. It's better for everyone to be defeated together and be taught a lesson by the freshmen than to be embarrassed by one team alone, right? Xiao Yan remembered the senior who asked him to stand in the sun during the entrance examination 2 years ago, and couldn't help but smile knowingly. This is indeed the style of Canon College. Since it is impossible to be low-key because of Xiao Meng, then be completely high profile. Break the rules and defeat those old students who make the elders think they have a sure win. Xiao Yan planned to first clean up the remaining 7 old student teams hunting freshmen in the forest, and then go to see the so-called Gatta keeping team. It took them most of the day to finally find them all and defeat them one by one. Looking down from the sky, the great elder Sukan watched the progress in the forest with a smile. Not bad. It is already quite rare to get such praise from him. If it is according to Sukan's previous vision, the current Xiao Yan, it was already very rare, and he was among the top students in Canon College in the past 100 years. But the examples of Xiao Meng and Zhao Mingru raised his vision. He suddenly had the illusion that only geniuses like them deserved the title of genius. Xiao Yan walked out of the forest slowly with his 3 teammates and came to an open space. Behind them, there was a group of freshmen. Some were rescued by them when they were looking for the old students team, and some heard their ideas and came to watch the fun. In the crowd, Beishan looked at Xiao Yan, who was like a moon surrounded by stars, with a cold look, and his jealousy and resentment were almost difficult to conceal. He also encountered the old students team in the forest and was chased very embarrassedly. In the end, he reported the name of his cousin in the inner courtyard, Bei Cheng of the Bei Gang, and was let go. Xiao Yan glanced at him inadvertently, and Bei Shan immediately lowered his head, fearing that the other party would find trouble with him and persecute him. The former sneered and shook his head with a bit of disdain. Brother Xiao Yan, what's wrong? Zuna asked. Nothing, just a clown. After crossing this flatland, the inner courtyard is behind. Where is the so-called Gatta keeping team? Wu Heo looked around expectantly. After defeating 8 teams of senior students in a row, his self-confidence was unprecedentedly strong. He couldn't wait to see the more capable people among the senior students in the inner courtyard. The air in front suddenly fluctuated, a shadow emerged, and then quickly disappeared, revealing 2 figures, a man and a woman. The woman had a beautiful face, with long black hair hanging down naturally, and her bangs on her forehead were neat and flat. Her eyes were black, so deep that they reminded people of the starry sky, and there seemed to be a faint starlight flowing in her eyes. Her rosy lips opened slightly, revealing a gorgeous and moving smile, and a soft and charming voice came from her lips. Master Xiao Yan, we finally meet again. The deep eyes became like a pool of water, rippling with ripples. Looking at this familiar yet strange face, Xiao Yan instinctively felt something was wrong. The Xiao Meng in his memory did not seem to be like this, but when he looked into those eyes, the alienation and weirdness quickly faded away, and the Xiao Meng in his impression gradually overlapped with the Xiao Meng in front of him. The past memories seemed to come alive, turning into scrolls that flashed through his mind quickly. Xiao Meng. When he said these two words, Zhao Yan felt that something was broken and lost, and his heart was empty. This empty heart was filled with the hot and strong thoughts that surged out, and the suppressed emotions were almost uncontrollable. Just like when he first came to the academy and met Zuna, who had been away for a long time. Just when Zhao Yan wanted to go over and hug him, Zuna coughed twice, reminding him that now was not the time. Only then did Zhao Yan regain his senses, scratched his head and asked, Xiaomeng, do you know where the last gatekeeper team is? After defeating them, I will enter the inner courtyard. Zhao Meng looked at him with a smile and said softly, Master Zhao Yan still can't understand. It can't be you two, right? Except for Zhao Yan, who was still immersed in the joy of seeing his old friend again. The rest of the freshmen felt like they were facing a formidable enemy. Looking at that gorgeous face that seemed slightly different from the past, they recalled the shame and fear of being knocked to the ground by her alone. Isn't it? Is it her in the last level? The corner of Huja's mouth twitched, and she moved slightly back half a step. Wu Hao closed his eyes and took a deep breath to calm down the excitement in his heart. When he opened them again, his eyes were full of solemnity. No matter what, we have come here. No matter how strong the enemy is, we still have to give it a try. If we lose, none of you will be able to escape. If you don't want to hand over your fire energy, just join us and fight her. Hujia shouted to the freshmen behind her. After taking away the fire energy from the old students, they returned the fire energy to the freshmen, who had been robbed before. Therefore, this last level is a last level for all freshmen. Jia is right. Fight her. Among the freshmen, Lu Mu, who is quite talented in refining medicine, said solemnly. More and more people shouted fight her, and for a moment, everyone was united. Listening to the noisy slogans in his ears, Zhao Yan belatedly noticed the strange things around him. Looking at each of his classmates who either looked fearful or a bit tragic, or thought appeared on his forehead. A few question marks. Xiaomeng, is she that scary? Chapter 483. Another monocle. You are her master Zhao Yan, so you naturally cannot feel her fear and strength. I don't know what trump card you have, but we are no match for her, even if we fight together. Hujia said quickly. She thought for a moment, rolled her eyes, and laughed. Why don't you deal with the witch? We deal with the other person. Don't underestimate that man. He has just joined the academy and entered the inner courtyard through a special assessment. During the assessment, he fought hard with the witch and finally lost by one move. Wu Hao, Zuna, and Beishan were all fortunate to witness that battle. Zhao Yan then turned his gaze to the young man who appeared with Xiaomeng. He had black hair, brown eyes, or thin body, ordinary facial features, and a deep outline. He wore ordinary linen clothes, black gloves on his hands, and kept a gentle smile on his face. Zhao Yan focused his eyes on the monocle in his right eye, and raised his eyebrows. The crystal polished monocle looked so harmonious on him, as if it was supposed to be that way. This was a feeling that Zhao Yan had never had with anyone wearing a monocle before. Could it be that he and Amon were connected to the strange phenomena he had seen? With this thought in mind, he suddenly asked, do you know Amon? Zhao Mengru raised his eyebrows. Where did you get this name? A pair of old, well, a map that looks very new. Zhao Mengru curled his lips and drew a smile. I won't tell you. Zhao Yan's forehead jumped. He had just thought that the other person had a gentle temperament, like someone who was easy to talk to, but when he opened his mouth, there was a sense of sarcasm, which made people angry. Zhao Meng said in a pleasant voice, Master Zhao Yan, I was originally a member of the gatekeeping team, but who let you be in the freshman team? I won't intervene, you guys come on. She playfully winked at Zhao Yan with her left eye and slowly stepped away. Zhao Mengru raised his right hand, pinched the crystal ground monocle, and said with a chuckle, since the troublemaker has gone away, let's have some fun. Let me see what's so special about the young master Zhao Yan that she has been thinking about. As he spoke, his Dao Ki surged, and the aura of the peak of Daoling was undisguised, making the freshman facing him feel depressed. Zhao Yan's face sank. Although he had used the Buddha's Wrath Lotus, to severely injure Yan Leng. That was due to the special nature of King Meng Point with his current strength. Even if he had two kinds of strange fire without external help, he could not cast the Buddha's wrath lotus formed by the two kinds of strange fire. To fuse the strange fire unstably, it requires not only a strong control over the flame, but also a certain level of strength. Both are indispensable. The fire lotus will continue to absorb the user's Dao Qi during the formation process. Amon can use the aggregation feature to skip this step, but Xiao Yan can't. The latter's Dao Qi could not support him to cast the two-color fire lotus, unless he could find a way to fuse the two kinds of strange fire more quickly. Xiao Yan did not want to expose King Meng at this time, and to expose the fact that he had two kinds of strange fire, which would arouse the vigilance and suspicion of the elders of the academy. If he only used conventional means to fight, a Dowling Peak strongman would be almost invincible for him. Zuna seemed to have seen Xiao Yan's difficulties, and said with a chuckle, "Brother Xiao Yan, let's deal with him together, yeah." Xiao Yan nodded. The blue Dao Qi turned into an invisible cyclone, lingering around Zhao Mingru, and he seemed to have become much sharper. Wind. Attribute Dao Qi. Xiao Yan's eyes condensed slightly. He was not unfamiliar with the nature of this Dao Qi. Nalan Yanran, Yan Yan, and Yan Shan all had Dao Qi of this attribute. Xiao Yan performed the three mysterious changes of heavenly fire, and based on the green spirit cold fire formed by the fusion of the green lotus earth core fire and the bone spirit cold fire, he instantly raised himself from the level of a 9-star Grand Dao Master to the level of a 6-star Dowling. He also took a key enhancement pill that could temporarily improve his strength, and the fluctuation of Dao Qi increased again, reaching the level of an 8-star Dowling. At this moment, judging only from the fluctuation of Dao Qi, he was already very close to Zhao Mingru, and could compete with him. If it was an ordinary peak Dowling, Xiao Yan would have been confident of winning at this moment, but there were no mediocre people who could enter the Canon Academy, and he could not regard the other party as the same level as those outsiders who had survived for a long time, so he did not reject Zuna's proposal to join forces. "I'll test it first. Zuna, you can do it yourself." Xiao Yan's feet lit up with lightning, and he flashed behind Zhao Mingru. Thunderbolt. Then, he used his most common close combat fighting skills, and punched Zhao Mingru in the face. 8. Extremes collapse. The latter's area of several feet around him was filled with the wind transformed by his fighting spirit. When Xiao Yan approached, he had already sensed it. He turned his body, and the palm surrounded by green light blocked, turned, and grabbed, wrapping around Xiao Yan's wrist. Pulling forward, Xiao Yan fell forward with an unstable center of gravity. He quickly responded, propped his arms on the ground, and did a somersault to distance himself. The foot emitting green light kicked towards his chest. Xiao Yan's face changed, and he blocked it with his other hand, and with the help of this force, he flipped a little further after landing. He stepped back 3 steps and groaned, "Be careful, this guy's really strong." Looking at the opponent who was at ease, Xiao Yan's eyes were solemn. Zuna raised her eyebrows and glanced at Xiao Meng with some doubt. She felt that this fighting skill was very familiar and very similar to Xiao Meng's. It was normal for her to feel familiar and similar. This was what the main body shared from Xiao Meng, and part of it was shared with Zhao Mingru. However, only the principles were shared. Some special tricks were not shared. Otherwise, if their fighting methods were too similar, some information would be exposed. This is not enough. If you want to defeat me, go all out. I'm afraid that the strength you rely on secret methods and elixirs will not last long. Zhao Mingru looked at Xiao Yan and said softly. Xiao Yan's body was covered with light blue flames. This was a fighting skill he had comprehended by himself. He used strange fire instead of fighting spirit, and condensed it into fighting spirit armor. Blue fire armor. Is that strange fire? Looking at the armor on Xiao Yan's body emitting terrible high temperature, Su Kan showed a trace of surprise. He actually possesses a strange fire? Elder Su said in doubt. What a lucky little guy. The old man Huo from the alchemy department spent most of his wealth because of some clues, but in the end, he failed. I didn't expect to see it from a student. There was no fluctuation in Zhao Mingru's eyes. The green Dao Qi energy formed a long sword of energy in the sky behind him. The extreme of wind meteorite. The Longsword shot towards Xiao Yan with surging power like a meteor. Xiao Yan's pupils shrank. Nalan Yanran used a very similar the extreme of Wine Sunset when fighting him, but compared with Nalan Yanran's move, the long swords in front of him were more fierce and more terrifying. He couldn't use any moves to fight against it in a short time, and decisively gave up the idea of confronting it head on. The purple cloud wings stretched out from his back and took his body up to the sky. The long sword fell to the ground with a swish, turning into a group of sharp gusts of wind, scraping out big pits on the ground. Chapter 484 XUN-039, takes action. Zuna rushed in front of Zhao Mingru with a strange movement technique. A thin golden flame surrounded her right hand. This flame seemed to be able to burn everything, giving Zhao Mingru an extremely dangerous feeling. In order to play his role more realistically, the specific Amon will not have too many special things, so apart from the flame of destiny used for communication, Zhao Mingru is really just an ordinary peak fighting spirit. At most, the control of one's own power is more subtle, the timing of fighting is more clever, and the use of fighting skills is more skillful. There was a blue whirlpool wrapped around his upper right hand, and he was making a move with Zuna's white palm. Zhao Mingru walked away at the first touch and distanced himself before his science cyclone was burned out by the Golden Emperor's burning sky flame. Zuna frowned slightly. The opponent was more cautious and cunning than she expected. There is a Zuhuo of the Golden Emperor's burning heaven flame sealed in her body. The seal was set by her father himself. There is a crack in the seal that allows the power of the Zuhuo to seep out. By mediating the size of the cracks, she can mediate the mobilizable power of fire. Due to her physical limitations, she cannot open the crack too wide, otherwise she will damage herself. Zuna can only mobilize a small cluster now and use it in key places. Therefore, her fighting style is different from Xiao Yan. It is not the type of open and close, more similar to Xiao Meng, or Xiao Meng is like her. In the early days, Xiao Meng secretly learned her skills to enrich himself. Zuna stamped her foot, suppressing the fighting energy ball buried in the ground when Zhao Mingru retreated and did not continue to pursue. Bang bang bang. There were muffled sounds, and small holes suddenly exploded in the ground between her and Zhao Mingru, and sharp airflow gushes out of the holes. This is all an ambush set by the opponent when he retreats. Hujaya looked at the battle ahead and sighed. Zuna is so powerful, he was able to fight like this with that guy. If it were me, I would probably chase him directly and be seriously injured by the explosion. Woo. Heo thought for a while and pointed out very honestly, if it were you, he wouldn't take even a step back. Xiao Yan flew into the sky above Zhao Mingru, pulled out the ancient ruler, and swung it down with all his strength. The free energy between heaven and earth converged on his ancient ruler, and a fiery power suddenly burst out. Flame. Devouring wave ruler, invoking the power of heaven and earth. This is an earth level fighting skill. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. Not only the freshmen were horrified, but the old students who came here dragging their injured bodies also had their eyes widened. Among the students, there are many who have mastered advanced Zuan level fighting skills, but not many can truly use earth level fighting skills. That is a treasure placed in the black corner domain that can attract fighting kings and fighting emperors to fight for it. Kingang. Shield. The cyan fighting spirit spread wantonly, and the strong airflow formed a thick barrier, blocking the path of the scorching energy that burst out from the ancient ruler. The cyan barrier collapsed inch by inch under the impact of the power of the flames. The huge energy collision set off strong winds, and strong air currents surged in all directions when the blazing energy in the cyan barrier disappeared. What caught Zhao Mingru's eyes was a delicate green and purple fire lotus in Xiao Yan's hand. Go. The fire lotus flew downwards quickly, a fiery power burst out, and a large amount of smoke and dust stirred up on the ground. Just when Xiao Yan thought it was over, a white ray tore through the smoke and shot toward his head. He felt threatened, and instinctively turned his head to hide. The ray flew past his cheek, causing him burning pain. Xiao Yan touched his face with the back of his right hand, and warm liquid was slowly seeping out from the wound. He stared down, his eyes alert. When the smoke and dust dispersed, Zhao Mingru slowly walked out. His face was pale, his steps were a little unsteady, and a large amount of blood flowed from his forehead. After walking a few steps, he spit out a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Mingru aggregated and absorbed several spiritual insects in his body. His injuries recovered, and his face quickly turned rosy. He wiped the corners of his mouth, looked at Xiao Yan in midair, and praised, "You won. You did a good job." Hearing this, Xiao Yan fell from the air. He looked at Zhao Mingru, who seemed to be injured, and was getting better quickly, with a look of confusion on his face. "Why? You should be able to fight again, right? It doesn't look like the injury is serious." Zhao Mingru shook his head. "You did cause me serious injuries just now. I used a secret method. Although my injuries are relieved in this state, and do not affect my combat effectiveness, it will be very troublesome if I get injured again. It's just a discussion. There's no need to fight to the death." He threw his fire crystal card to Xiao Yan. "Here, your trophy." Xiao Yan casually glanced at the numbers on the card and almost thought there was something wrong with his eyes. He had previously robbed 8 teams and 40 people, and the combined harvest was only a few hundred days. But the card given by the other party contained more than 2000 days of fire energy. Although I haven't entered the inner courtyard yet and don't have a more intuitive understanding of the role of this fire energy, judging from the performance of the old students before, this is definitely a very precious thing. He thought for a moment, and was about to return the fire crystal card, when he heard Zhao Mingru say, "By the way, it seems that I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Zhao Mingru, and I'm the one who offers you a reward. As for these fire powers, I'm just passing them on to you on behalf of others. Transfer it to someone else." Xiao Yan repeated this sentence, and looked at Xiao Meng on the side of the open space. "She doesn't have much time to spend with you." After Zhao Mingru left these words, a pair of cyan wings formed from his back, and flew into the distance. "What do you mean?" Xiao Yan was startled and asked hurriedly. Seeing Zhao Mingru gradually walking away without answering his question, Xiao Yan frowned, hesitated, and did not pursue him. I knew Master Xiao Yan could do it, just as Zhao Mingru. Xiao Meng walked over with an undisguised smile between her eyebrows. Zuna withdrew the flame in her palm and calmed down her fighting spirit. She still instinctively felt that Zhao Mingru was in danger. Xiao Yan rubbed her head and said helplessly, "Thanks to you, my life in the academy is quite exciting." Xiao Meng smiled and said, "It's just a little trouble. Master Xiao Yan, you won't mind, right?" "So, what if I mind? Can I punish you severely?" He poked her forehead affectionately with his finger, and Xiao Yan smiled and asked, "How have you been in the past 2 years?" "It's good. It's just that something happened. I'll talk to you later. Now let's solve the matter of young Master Xiao Yan's entry into the inner courtyard." Xiao Meng's tone was low point. When Xiao Meng behaved like this in front of Xiao Yan, both freshmen and old students who had just entered the inner courtyard opened their mouths in shock. That witch actually has such a well-behaved, gentle, and lovely side. The great elder Sukan slowly fell from the air. Seeing the way he arrived, Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat. Stepping in the air, the strong man of Daozang. "Congratulations, you successfully broke through the forest. Next, I will officially welcome you to the inner courtyard." So, Kyan led the students through the open space and walked to the edge. The edge of the clearing is a steep slope, and below it is a huge basin. In the basin, there are countless pavilions and pavilions, with no end as far as the eye can see. Between the pavilions, tiny figures flashed from time to time. It was almost evening, and the afterglow of the setting sun made those pavilions look even more majestic. Chapter 485, Beat Him Up, and ITN-039, Lines Be Alright. Under the night sky, a bright moon hangs high in the sky, and the light like waterfalls, condensing a layer of cold light on the ground. In the huge basin, countless pavilions and towers stand tall. Compared with this vast area, the number of people in the inner courtyard seems extremely sparse, which makes the inner courtyard of Cannon College look very deserted. In a secluded place near the edge of the basin, 2 towers stand side by side. One is shrouded in darkness, and only a room on the 3rd floor faintly reveals bright yellow lights. The other is brightly lit, and every floor of the 4 floors, except the 1st floor, is lit. The brightly lit one is Xiao Meng's residence. Today, this usually deserted tower welcomes 4 new residents: Xiao Yan, Zuna, Wu Heo, and Hu Jia also moved in. It is an old tradition of Cannon College that freshmen are easily bullied by old students when they first enter the inner courtyard. Even Wu Heo and Hu Jia are not sure they can protect themselves. So they decided to stay with Xiao Yan and Zuna and keep each other warm. Although they were keeping each other warm, Wu Heo and Hu Jia knew that they were taken care of. Xiao Yan and Zuna's strength could be ranked at the top even in the inner courtyard. Not to mention that Xiao Meng was here. They only had a vague understanding of the situation in the inner courtyard and didn't know what position Xiao Meng was in, but it was certain that there wouldn't be many students stronger than her. After leaving the second floor to Wu Heo and Hu Jia, Xiao Meng took Xiao Yan and Zuna to a room on the third floor. Master. Xiao Yan. Miss Zuna, we haven't been together for a long time. Xiao Meng naturally brewed a pot of tea and poured 3 cups. Xiao Yan picked up a cup, put it to his mouth, tasted it carefully, and said with emotion, yes. It's almost 2 years. Time flies. Xiao Meng said suddenly, has the matter of Yunlin sect been resolved? Master Xiao Yan must have won, right? Hit the face of that arrogant guy Nalan Yanran hard. Beat her up. Xiao Yan suddenly coughed, put the teacup on the table, and his face became very unnatural. Zuna smiled, turned her head, and looked at Xiao Yan, without saying a word. That, I won. Xiao Yan hesitated, and it was almost difficult to finish her sentence. I knew that Master Xiao Yan would definitely not lose. Xiao Meng smiled. Xiao Yan knew that Ling Ying must have told Zuna about the situation, but it seemed that Zuna did not tell Xiao Meng about it. He took a deep breath and said with a stiff face, I won the 3-year agreement with Nalan Yanran, but there was another accident. I made a big mistake. Xiao Meng raised her eyebrows and her expression was slightly condensed. She lost contact with Amon's intelligence network and was not clear about many things. She could only guess that Yunlin sect had probably fallen into Amon's control. If there was any accident, it was probably not an accident, but the result of Amon's secret manipulation. What happened? The softness and charm in her tone disappeared, replaced by coldness and seriousness. Yan and I did that kind of thing, and we became husband and wife. Xiao Yan said it in a low voice with a determined heart. Zuna had no expression on her face. Xiao Meng was full of thoughts. The air suddenly became quiet, without a sound, and time seemed to have frozen. Xiao Yan did not dare to breathe, and his breathing became cautious and extremely light. To his surprise, there was no blame or abuse. Xiao Meng just asked calmly, did it happen in Yunlin sect? No, it happened in the Magic Beast mountain range. Xiao Yan told the story of Ape Lord, Yan, and the purple crystal winged lion king honestly. Xiao Meng raised her lips and smiled. You are worthy of being Master Xiao Yan. Nalan Yanran wants to break off the engagement, but her teacher falls in love with her. Is there any better revenge than this? Let her know how bad her vision is. Let her regret her actions back then. However, Master, how do you plan to treat Yan? Abandon her cruelly? As a revenge for her supporting Nalan Yanran? To break off the engagement, which made you, Master Xiao Zan, and the entire Xiao family bear the shame. Xiao Yan was silent for a moment, and shook his head slowly. I can't do it. It may be my possessiveness, or it may be my sense of responsibility. I don't want to let her down. Xiao Meng chuckled and said, Xiao Meng is just a maid. As long as the master has me in his heart, it's fine. I can't care about the rest. But what about Miss Zuna? Xiao Yan clenched his fists and looked at Zuna nervously. The latter rolled his eyes helplessly. So what if I mind? Can I still kill her? Brother Xiao Yan, you have to control yourself. Don't do it again. Xiao Yan breathed a sigh of relief, but Zuna stretched out her tone. Xiao Yan's heart was lifted again. Old Ling told me that you have to go to Yunlin sect again in 3 years. To fulfill the next 3-year agreement? Zuna's tone was calm and gentle. Xiao Yan moved his butt uncomfortably, adjusted his sitting posture, and nodded in affirmation. Xiao Meng made a puzzled sound. Yunshan forced brother Xiao Yan to marry Yan, but brother Xiao Yan did not agree, and then made an agreement. Zuna explained briefly. What does this mean? What is Amon planning? What good is it for Master Xiao Yan to marry Yan? It can't be for fun, right? This possibility cannot be ruled out. Alas, I didn't see such a big fun. It would be really interesting for Master Xiao Yan to defeat Melon Yan and then marry Yan Yan in the blink of an eye. Xiao Meng thought divergently point, but there is still a 3-year appointment. You can't miss this. Wait. 3 years later, isn't it the time in the original work when Master Xiao Yan kills the Yunlin sect and faces the Yunlin sect and the Guardian Bird? Does the ontology also have the intention of controlling the direction of the plot? Now in the Gamma Empire, it seems that, because of Amon's activities, the plot direction is somewhat different from the original work. Young Master Xiao Yan seems to have no conflict with the Yunlin sect. Is this to give him a motivation to fight? Damn it, you didn't tell me anything about such an important thing. Xiao Meng thought bitterly. She opened her mouth and asked, what is the agreement? Zuna responded, Brother Xiao Yan fights Yan Jin. If he loses, he will marry Yan Yan. If he wins, Yan Yan can be his concubine. Oh, Master Xiao Yan, what do you think? Xiao Meng looked at Xiao Yan with great interest and found him very interesting. When he was in a dilemma, Xiao Yan's eyes averted and he said resolutely, I must win. Seeing that he expressed his attitude tactfully, Zuna nodded slightly. The corner of Xiao Meng's mouth curled up and she asked, do you want Yan Yan to be your concubine? Xiao Yan's expression was stagnant. Just now he thought he had passed the test temporarily. Xiao Meng, you have changed. You were not like this before. Xiao Yan, who was tortured by his soul, broke out in cold sweat again. He was silent for a long time. He answered in a voice that was almost inaudible and very unconfident, I don't have any such plan. Oh, you don't want to marry Miss Zuna and Yan Yan together, right? They will be together at the wedding, and then they will be together in the bridal chamber as well. Xiao Meng asked again. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth twitched, and he said out of nowhere, what about you? Is there another one? If Miss Zuna agrees, I'm willing to. Xiao Meng said with a smile. The smile on Zuna's face faded a little. Although Xiao Meng had already acquiesced, Xiao Yan said this in front of her, which still made her a little unhappy. She said in a faint voice, Brother Xiao Yan, I don't mind if you have 3 wives and 4 concubines. But if you want to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, you must have enough capital. In Daoqi continent, strength is respected. If you are not strong enough, you will encounter great resistance. Just if you want to be with Zuna, on this basis, I still want to have another woman, and I want to give her the same status as me. Do you think my family will agree so easily? Have you really thought about it? If you want to realize what Xiao Meng just said, you must have the power to silence all my people, and you must have my father agree. That will be difficult. Xiao Yan said in a deep voice, I'm sorry, Zuna, I don't want to have any problems in my little family. I also have to give Yan Yan an explanation. Xiao Meng clicked her tongue and said, this can be regarded as a kind of responsibility. Zuna nodded slightly, with a narrow smile on his face. The brother Xiao Yan I know will not back down because of difficulties. You have passed the test, but it's just for me. For my father's side, you can decide for yourself. I won't talk too much to help you. I'll tell you something quietly. My family is very old-fashioned, but they also value strength. So, next time you see my father, beat him up, and he will agree to me marrying you, and he will also agree to you marrying someone else while marrying me. Xiao Yan said, slightly embarrassed. This is not good. Zuna said seriously, I'm serious. If you can beat him up, there will be no problem. Xiao Yan has already sketched in his mind the image of a middle-aged man who is rigid, dogmatic, stern, and unreasonable. He responded, if I have to do it, I'll try. Xiao Meng was holding back her laughter. Beating Gu Yuan? Are you serious? Zuna is a little angry. Is she planning to trick Xiao Yan? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 Uncle Zhao gave. Xiao Yan believed Zuna's suggestion and made defeating her father his goal point. He planned to practice harder and strive to compete with him the next time he saw him, and use his own strength to gain his recognition point. But defeating him is enough. Beating him is not necessary. He still has to save some face for his future father-in-law. Xiao Yan was not completely fooled by Zuna and kept some of his own thoughts. Xiao Meng looked at Xiao Yan's look as if he had made up his mind and knew that he probably took Zuna's words seriously. She clapped her hands and said, okay, don't mention the disappointing things. Anyway, Master Xiao Yan, you just need to know what you are doing. Next, Miss Zuna, let me be alone with the master for a while. I have a lot of things here that I want to tell him, just like you have your secrets. I have some of my secrets and want to share them with you. Sharing secrets. Zuna thought of the mysterious family behind Xiao Meng and nodded slightly. I only ask for one thing. Don't bring unnecessary danger to brother Xiao Yan. Don't worry, it won't happen. Come with me. Xiao Meng turned to look at Xiao Yan, opened the door, walked out, walked through the corridor, and walked up the stairs to the 4th floor. Xiao Yan followed her with a little doubt. Soon, they came to the 4th floor. Xiao Meng opened a door and walked in. Xiao Yan paused at the door, smelled the fragrance in the air, and hesitated for a moment. This is Xiao Meng's bedroom. He didn't pause for too long and continued forward. As soon as he entered the room, Xiao Yan was stunned. Portraits of himself were hung on the wall and even on the desk, chair back, and bookshelf. His head was carved. The quilt and pillowcases on the bed were also his. He couldn't help but flash a little embarrassed. The decoration in your room is really unique. Xiao Meng showed a clear smile, turned around, and said happily, do you think it's good? I spent a lot of effort to get it done. Why can you be so calm and natural? Shouldn't you be embarrassed? Xiao Yan complained in his heart. He walked into Xiao Meng's room, pulled out a chair and sat down, and said unnaturally, what do you want to say? Xiao Meng seemed not to notice Xiao Yan's discomfort and smiled slightly. You should be aware that there is a force behind me. In fact, they have contacted me when they were in Wutan City, but I have never paid attention to it. So early? Xiao Yan was slightly stunned and called Yao Chen in his heart. Teacher, do you know about the mysterious force behind Xiao Meng? In the deep space of the bone flame ring, Yao Chen's virtual soul pushed his monocle. Do you really think I know everything? Daoqi continent is vast and boundless. Who knows what terrible forces are hidden in which corner? My condition was very bad at that time. I just felt that she was extraordinary and special at that time. Okay. Xiao Yan was not disappointed that he could not get an answer from Yao Chen. He just asked with a try and see attitude. He stared at Xiao Meng without speaking, waiting for her next words. Master Xiao Yan, I may not be able to stay with you in the future, Xiao Meng said with a little disappointment. Xiao Yan was startled and asked anxiously, why? Did someone in your family force you? Xiao Meng was silent for a while and did not answer. After a long time, she showed a forced smile. No, Master Xiao Yan, please do not conflict with them. It is a very strange and terrible race. Seeing her like this, Xiao Yan had the answer in his heart. He clenched his fists. He seemed calm, but there seemed to be a fire burning in his eyes. Can you tell me what race it is? I can find you later. Xiao Meng's mouth corners slowly curled up and shook her head. I can't tell the name. Don't worry about my safety. I need to go back to receive the inheritance. In addition, I'm not leaving now. There is still some time, and I can accompany you for a while. Her voice became weaker and weaker, and Xiao Yan could hear the heaviness and reluctance in her tone. Xiao Meng took a deep breath, adjusted his mentality, and said in a cheerful manner, Master Xiao Yan, although that family is a bit annoying, some places are still very good. In order to make me agree to go back, they gave a lot of good things. She walked to the bed, pulled out the second drawer of the bedside table, and took out a cylindrical transparent crystal container from it. The container was transparent, and the inside exuded a faint starlight-like brilliance, and the light spots were like stars in the night sky. Inside, there was a sea blue substance flowing like a liquid. After taking the container thrown by Xiao Meng, Xiao Yan looked at it carefully, and showed a trace of surprise. The strange fire in his body had moved. The sea blue substance in the container was the same, flowing and transforming into the shape of a flame, jumping constantly. This small transparent crystal container contains a kind of strange fire. It looks like water, dark blue in color, with a sound of raging waves, and moves like a tsunami. The sea heart flame ranked 15th on the strange fire list. Yao Chen's tone was full of undisguised surprise. Zhao Yan himself had such a guess. After Yao Chen's confirmation, he looked at Zhao Meng with surprise and confusion. Is this given to you by your family? Zhao Meng said, it was given to me by Uncle Zhao in the family. He gave it to me so that I could call him Uncle Zhao. If I hadn't thought that, master, you are an alchemist and this thing should be useful to you, I would not compromise. Zhao Yan suppressed the desire for strange fire in his heart and said, I can't accept it. It's too valuable. You can refine it yourself. Even if you are not an alchemist, having a strange fire will be of great benefit to you. Zhao Meng showed a sweet smile. Zhao Meng is very happy that you can consider me, but there is no need to refuse. Just let him accompany you instead of me. This is for you in itself, as a reward for your Zhao family taking care of me for so many years. She took out another jade bottle and said, this is an earth spirit pill, which can be used to assist in refining strange fire. Zhao Yan opened his mouth, feeling moved in his heart. It is true that the Zhao family has never treated Zhao Meng poorly, but that is nothing compared to the value of a 6th grade elixir and a strange fire. If it was said that this was a thank you from the family behind Zhao Meng, he would not believe it. Even if it is, Zhao Meng must have worked hard for it, and even agreed to many harsh conditions to get it. Seeing Zhao Yan's lost expression, Zhao Meng teased, don't you still have a 3-year contract? You must win. If you lose, I'm afraid I can only be the son-in-law of Yunlin sect. After a pause, she continued, why don't we also make a 3-year agreement? After ending Yun's 3-year agreement, in 3 years, if your strength is comparable to that of Dowson, come to me. How is it? Zhao Yan's mouth twitched. This is 3 years and 3 years. Endless. He nodded without hesitation and asked, where should I find you? Zhao Meng did not give an answer, with a serious look on his face. It depends on your own ability. If you can't even do this, then there is no need to come to me. That race is really extremely dangerous. The last room on the left, when you come up from the stairs on this floor, is my training room. Master, if you are in good condition, go and refine the strange fire. Zhao Yan was still in a daze when he walked out of Zhao Meng's room holding the transparent crystal container that sealed hazel iron and the jade bottle containing the earth spirit pill. He walked to the training room, closed the door, took out the lotus platform containing the Kinglian earth heart fire from the Neji, and sat on it cross-legged. Zhao Yan did not refine hazel iron immediately. He rubbed both sides of his forehead with his right thumb and middle finger, digesting what happened today in his mind. First, he confessed about Yan, and then he was told that Zhao Meng was also leaving, and made a 3-year agreement with her, and then was given hazel iron and earth spirit pill. Looking at the strange fire and elixir in front of him, Zhao Yan showed a wry smile. This gift was obtained on the condition that Zhao Meng left him. If possible, he would rather give up these treasures in exchange for Zhao Meng's longer companionship. Don't worry about gains and losses. Adjust your state and absorb it. What you need most now is strength. Yao Chen's voice sounded in his heart. You need strength to defeat Yunshin. You need strength to find Zhao Meng. You need strength to gain the approval of Zuna's father and make her family give in. Zhao Yan closed his eyes for a long time, and when he opened them again, he had regained his composure. I understand, teacher. Chapter 487. Is this how you practice? Zhao Yan recovered his fighting spirit and adjusted his state. The colorful sky swallowing python swam out from his sleeves with colorful light flowing, and the colorful little snake turned into a beautiful woman with a delicate face and a charming figure. Zhao Yan paused and twitched his mouth slightly. Your Majesty, why did you come out? Queen Medusa had no sense of existence during this period. She had always maintained the form of the colorful sky swallowing python. She ate and slept, and could sleep for many days, so Zhao Yan almost forgot about her. How is a collection of medicinal materials for my wrangling pill? Medusa asked in a cold tone, as soon as she came out. It's only been a short time. I'm unlucky and haven't encountered it. Xiao Yan said embarrassedly. It seems that you don't take my affairs to heart. If so, there is no need for me to keep you. Killing intent appeared in her eyes. Xiao Yan was startled and was about to withdraw, but found that he was like trapped in a quagmire, unable to move, and the air around him was restraining him. Space solidified. Space solidified for Daozang strongman. During this period, the 7-colored sky-swallowing python became extremely inactive because Queen Medusa was suppressing its soul and taking control of the body. In the process, she was gradually able to exert her own evolved strength and stabilize at the Daozang level point. A familiar soul wave surged out of the bone inflammation ring, and Yao Chen, who looked old, had an illusory figure and a monocle stuck in his right eye socket, slowly emerged. Haha, you are worthy of being Queen Medusa. You can solidify space when you just enter Daozang, but how can you kill my disciple Yao Chen? Looking at Yao Chen's ethereal soul in front of her, Medusa's eyes were solemn. I was wondering why this guy was always accompanied by a strong man. It turned out to be a soul body. Yao Chen smiled indifferently. You don't have to pretend to be murderous. I know your current situation very well. Even if I only have a soul left, it's not difficult to deal with someone who has just reached Daozang. Besides, you haven't completely controlled your body yet. Once you attack my disciple, the soul of the 7-colored sky-swallowing python will probably riot and backfire immediately. I don't want to have any conflict with you either. You can leave directly. The chill on Medusa's face became deeper and deeper. Do you mean that I wasted these past few months? Xiao Yan sneered. Don't you know what your situation is these past few months? Even if there is no agreement, even if you want to leave, the sky-swallowing python will come back by itself. And when we made the agreement, what did you think? I'm afraid that the sooner I refine it, the faster I will die. Do you have the right to speak? Medusa glanced at him. A grey-white energy gradually began to erode Xiao Yan's body from the bottom, petrifying him inch by inch. Meng. Two heads of King Meng emerged, and the energy of the strange fire broke through the grey-white energy layer, allowing Xiao Yan's partially petrified body to recover as before. King Meng's short fat hand held a blue and white fire lotus, and fearlessly stared at Medusa's eyes that were beginning to turn into snake pupils because of anger. If you didn't have murderous intentions, my disciple wouldn't have deliberately dragged it out. It can't be blamed entirely on him for the way things turned out. Yao Chen said with a smile. He ignored Medusa's anger and said softly, if you really want the wrangling pill, you can make a new agreement with me. Within a year, I can guarantee that the pill will be given to you, but you need to guarantee Xiao Yan's safety for a year, and all the previous things will be revealed. Don't think about revenge afterwards. Medusa's face became more gloomy, and the Daozang's momentum pressed towards Xiao Yan. Yao Chen's soul power spread, blocking her might, and the fire lotus in King Meng's hand became more active, as if it would explode at any time. Medusa's forehead suddenly twitched, and her momentum receded like a tide. The will of the 7-colored sky-swallowing python was fighting with her for control of the body. Damn. She couldn't control her body, and colorful lights were flowing. What happened? Zuna, who noticed something was wrong, came up from the 3rd floor and asked Xiao Meng, who was guarding the door of the practice room. Although Yao Chen and Queen Medusa were both wary of the strong men of Cannon College, they tried their best to control their breath within a certain range and did not use it recklessly. But Zuna was very close and had a strange fire in her body which resonated with King Meng and Hazenan. And she sensed something wrong. Don't worry, everything is fine. It's Master Xiao Yan who is practicing. Xiao Meng responded. Really? Zuna looked at the practice room with a slightly suspicious look and temporarily believed Xiao Meng. Xiao Meng's attitude towards Xiao Yan was obvious to all, so even if she seemed to have changed a little after meeting this time, Zuna didn't think she would be bad for Xiao Yan. At this moment, the tightly closed door slammed open, and Medusa, who had a delicate face and a charming figure that would make people involuntarily arouse lust, walked out with slightly messy clothes. Her brows were furrowed, as if she was enduring physical discomfort. Medusa glanced at Xiao Meng and Zuna, ignored the two stunned people, and left on her own. Zuna was stunned for a long time, before she let out a long breath, and put on an emotionless smile on her face. Is this what you said about brother Xiao Yan practicing? Xiao Meng was also a little confused. She didn't know what Queen Medusa was doing at this time, refining the strange fire. Queen Medusa. She made some connections for no reason. Could it be that Master Xiao Yan made a mistake again? But it shouldn't be. Hazeline is not the fallen heart flame that can arouse the heart fire, and the energy inside is not so huge that Xiao Yan cannot refine it alone and needs others to share it. Or, because of what other Amon did, the relationship between Xiao Yan and Medusa changed, caused them to have deeper feelings in advance. Xiao Yan wanted to close the door and continue refining Hazeline. He walked to the door and saw Xiao Meng and Zuna. He was relieved to see that they were not hurt by Medusa, who left in anger. Then he noticed that Zuna had a half-smiling look on her face, and his heart skipped a beat. Brother Xiao Yan, can you explain what's going on? Why are you in the same room with an inexplicable woman in the middle of the night? Zuna said quietly. Xiao Meng looked like he didn't mind the matter and said, Master Xiao Yan, if you have other women in your heart, Xiao Meng won't mind, but you should have made it clear just now. No, Xiao Yan was speechless for a moment. He organized his words and said, this is really not true. I almost died in the hands of that woman. She was Queen Medusa. Chapter 488. Medusa leaves. But she is a woman. Xiao Meng responded to Xiao Yan's excuse with a smile. She is a murderous woman with no eyesight. If I hadn't had some trump cards, I would have died just now. Xiao Yan opened his eyes wide and looked at Xiao Meng in disbelief. Where is that cute and obedient little boy who always protects me? Xiao Meng now is simply a little devil. Keep on fire. The master of Yunlin sect is also very powerful. Since Master Xiao Yan can make her fall in love with you, it is reasonable to capture the heart of Queen Medusa. He is indeed Master Xiao Yan. Xiao Meng sighed. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth twitched, feeling that Xiao Meng was pressing closer and closer, and there was a crematorium behind him. Hey, there was something wrong with Queen Medusa just now. Why do I feel like Master Xiao Yan? You are bullying her, Xiao Yan. Seeing Xiao Yan's helpless look, Zuna chuckled. Okay, I believe you, brother Xiao Yan. Medusa is indeed different from Yan Yan. She is not a good person. Xiao Yan took a breath and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Brother Xiao Yan, since you are fine, I won't bother you anymore. If Medusa comes to cause trouble again, you don't mind if I kill her, right? Golden flames danced in Zuna's eyes. Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. There was nothing between him and Medusa now. It was more about use and confrontation. Medusa's murderous intention towards him just now was not fake. I just feel a little pity for the colorful sky-swallowing python. After all, we get along pretty well, but the colorful sky-swallowing python is a subsidiary soul of Medusa, and will be fused with it sooner or later. Medusa's figure appeared outside the pavilion. She restrained her breath, glanced back at Xiao Yan's room, and ran quickly towards the distance. She did not rush on her way by flying. Canon Academy's crouching tiger, hidden dragon would easily cause trouble if it attracted the attention of the powerful. When passing by the small building that was one floor shorter next to it, Medusa caught a glimpse of a young man wearing a monocle on his right eye by the window, looking at her with a smile. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and after a few more glances, she ignored him and continued running outside the hospital. Zhao Mingru stared at the direction where Medusa disappeared, his eyes deep. After leaving the basin, where Canon College is located, Medusa can finally let go of her hands and feet a little, step into the air, and fly quickly towards the vast mountains in the low air. The consciousness of the colorful sky-swallowing python became more and more active, and it tried its best to compete with her for control of the body. Medusa's face changed slightly and she said quickly, damn it, don't think about your master. It's not like you can't live without him. Give your body to me. From now on, I will give you a period of time every day for you to come out and play. The resistance of the colorful sky-swallowing python was a little weak, but it was still somewhat reluctant. If there is anything delicious to eat in the future, it will be your responsibility to come out and eat it. The colorful sky swallowing python stopped resisting and reached an agreement with Medusa. Seeing this, Medusa finally breathed a sigh of relief. Without this constraint, she could return to the Snake Empire and become the queen of her snake tribe. After some commotion, the training room, where Xiao Yan was located, finally returned to calm. He lamented, "What's this? It's really unjust this time. Zuna seems to be really angry with me." The soul body that had been transformed from the medicine dust emerged, and he said with a smile, "Young people are energetic. TSK, what a pity. I thought Medusa was quite good as a teacher, so it would be very suitable to be a disciple and daughter-in-law. It is said that Queen Medusa will die as long as she falls in love with someone." Unchanged, Xiao Yan rolled his eyes. "If you have time to think about this, you might as well think about finding some master wives for me after resurrection. Kinglian Earth Core Fire, Bone Spirit Cold Fire, Sea Heart Flame, 3 kinds of strange fires, but they can't be used together. It's already." Yao Chen suddenly lost his voice, and his eyes showed a bit of hesitation and doubt. Every time he mentioned this, he always felt empty in his heart, as if a piece was missing. He stopped teasing Xiao Yan and quietly returned to the bone flame ring. Xiao Yan opened his mouth, but said nothing, and returned his attention to Hazen Iron. He crushed the crystal containing Hazen Yan, and a high temperature surged in. There was a faint sound like the sound of sea water flowing. Xiao Yan was already prepared to deal with the violent alien fire, but he found that this sea heart flame was extremely docile, not like an alien fire at all. "Teacher, is this really a strange fire? Didn't you say before that strange fire is the most violent energy in the world?" But this thing, Yao Chen was also a little strange and muttered, "There may be exceptions. Different strange fires have different properties, and they should also have their own character, and Xiao Meng's uncle Zhao should have specially dealt with this strange fire." All the outer flame power was stripped away, leaving only the original fire in front of him. "Hurry up, its strength is gradually recovering, and now is the easiest time to regain it." Xiao Yan stared at Hazen Iron, and after assessing the energy contained in this ball of original fire, he suddenly said, "Teacher, I feel like I can refine it without taking the Earth Spirit Pill. The Earth Spirit Pill materials we collected are still lacking a lot. I want to save the ones Xiao Meng gave me and use it to conquer the strange fire of Canon Academy." Yao Chen's eyes revealed his thoughts, and he hesitated for a moment, then said, "It's up to you. If you think it's okay, then give it a try. I'll protect you. If you can't hold on, I'll give you the Earth Spirit Pill." After making the decision, Xiao Yan immediately put it into practice. The pale blue flames lingered around him, providing him with protection. Xiao Yan carefully reached out his hand and grabbed the origin fire of the sea heart flame. At this moment, the sea heart flame began to struggle, beating constantly, intending to launch a counterattack. But it was just a fragile origin fire, without the huge flame energy that could be mobilized. And its resistance was very weak. King Meng stood up and assisted Xiao Yan, suppressing the sea heart flame. After its resistance became weaker, he dragged it back to Xiao Yan's meridian. Xiao Yan was stunned at first. "This is too easy, right?" He didn't feel happy for too long and felt a sharp pain in his meridians. The nature of the high temperature of the sea heart flame remained unchanged. Before it was completely refined, even if it did not resist, its own power would still cause harm to himself. Xiao Yan immediately calmed down and concentrated on running the skills. He smoothly circulated one Zaoshan after another, leaving his own mark on the sea heart flame, and the refining was initially completed. After he initially mastered the sea heart flame, he began to formally use the burning technique to devour it. With the experience of devouring the Azure Lotus Earth Heart Fire for the first time, and with the help of the Fire Spirit King Meng, this time's refining was much smoother than the first time. The whole process was safe and sound, except for a few times when the flames ran wild and almost burned his hair again. It was generally very smooth. After finishing the exercise, Xiao Yan showed a hint of joy on his face. The burning technique had evolved again, and he also successfully possessed 3 types of strange fire. He only needed a suitable corpse and the growing bone and melting blood pill to revive his teacher. Seeing that the most difficult and tricky factor had been solved, Yao Chen was also a little excited. Compared with the 3 kinds of strange fire, the remaining 2 things were not too difficult. Today, he finally saw the hope of resurrection. Meng. King Meng pinched the monocle on his right eye, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 489 I Want You. Northern continent. A man with long curly chestnut hair, blue eyes, a high nose bridge, thin lips, 2 well-groomed mustaches, a dark red coat embroidered with gold thread, and a monocle on his right eye, walked on the vast grassland. The slightly astringent smell of green grass blew from the wind. The clouds in the sky changed, and the sun disappeared into the thin clouds. A huge city appeared in front. In the northern barbarian tribes. Medium-sized tribes generally have Daozang or Daohuang, who built a city with a wall to live in. Around the city, there are smaller tribes, scattered in a large area. Small tribes are governed by the large tribes they depend on, but this dependence is not solid. If the small tribe feels that its rights and interests are too damaged and exceed the value brought by the protection of the large tribe, it will choose to leave and migrate. An 11 or 12-year-old girl sat on a black and white cow with small and sparse scales on its legs, looking at the vaguely visible city wall in the distance with longing eyes. Her name is Bailey, and she is the daughter of the leader of the small tribe closest to the city. In the barbarian snake tribe, only the leaders of medium-sized or larger tribes who have built cities and temples are qualified to be called Queen of Medusa. This title is an honor and a responsibility. Her great-grandmother, grandmother, and mother have been working hard for this goal, but it is still a long way off. In the future, this responsibility will also be passed on to her. Bailey doesn't hate it. This is also her dream. The black and white cow with some snake-like bloodline buried its head in the grass and kept eating grass. Suddenly, its ears moved, raised its head, turned in a direction, and looked ahead vigilantly. What's the matter? Don't turn around suddenly, I almost fell down. The girl sitting on its back shuddered, holding the cow's back with her hands, complaining. Moo. A long and low roar sounded, as if reminding Bailey to be vigilant. Bailey's eyes narrowed slightly. She saw a strange man with a rather strange appearance walking slowly in front of her. He was different from the people she had seen before. His clothes were also different. The 2 small mustaches above his lips made people want to laugh. Bailey was not afraid either. She looked at the strange man with curiosity. The scaled bull she was sitting on was a 5th level magic beast. It was a strong man at the same level as her mother, the leader of the snake tribe. Moreover, this place was not far from the city, built by the medium-sized tribe they were attached to. If a battle occurred, the city guards would arrive at the first time. The man suddenly disappeared, and a gentle and magnetic voice sounded. Where is Queen Medusa of your tribe? Bailey was startled at first, and widened her eyes, and then realized that this might be a strong man beyond her cognition, otherwise she would not be able to get on the back of the scaled bull. Before it reacted, she said quickly without hesitation, there is no Queen Medusa in our tribe. Only the leaders of those medium-sized tribes or above can be called so. Then, take me to find your leader. Is it just a different name? Or is there any special meaning? Bailey rolled her eyes and responded, it's so embarrassing to bother you to go find her. I'll ask her to come and see you. As she said that, she patted the cow's back. The black and white scaled cow let out a low and rapid roar, and the sound spread throughout the snake tribe. After a while, a woman with a folded single spiral bun and an apricot gauze skirt flew from a low altitude and stopped a few meters away from the blue-eyed man. Bailey pointed at the blue-eyed man and said, Mother, this powerful uncle is looking for you. The woman in apricot clothes swayed her bright yellow snake tail with black lines a little uneasily and asked softly, I'm Beha, what is your name? The blue-eyed man jumped off the scale cow, walked forward a few steps, and said with a chuckle, just call me Huang Tao. I'm here to find Queen Medusa. Any Queen Medusa will do. I've seen a Queen Medusa before, and she gave me a different feeling from you. In order to let the other party talk to him calmly, Huang Tao released his momentum a little. This breath was fleeting, but it made Beha pale and look terrified. That terrible breath was not felt even from Queen Medusa and the elders of the medium-sized tribe. Her face couldn't help but become respectful, and she asked, I don't know what you mean by different. I have seen Queen Medusa. She has completed her evolution with the help of the strange fire. Is it because of this reason? Has anyone completed evolution with a strange fire? Beihua was shocked and then figured out what Huang Tao might mean by different and said, Queen Medusa is different from the leaders of our small tribes. She was nurtured by the secret method before she was born and has the potential for evolution. Even if we ordinary snake people find the strange fire, we can't evolve, and the Queen Medusa you mentioned after evolution is probably even more special. I have never seen anyone complete the evolution, so I don't know much. Huang Tao asked, so only the leaders of the snake tribes above the medium-sized tribe can be called Queen Medusa? Because they have the potential for evolution, yes. Our small tribes simply can't afford the cost of the secret method. Bailey showed a trace of helplessness on her face. Is that so? The voice dissipated with the wind, and with it, Huang Tao's figure disappeared. Beihua, who stayed where he was, looked around and didn't see Huang Tao anymore, so he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Bailey whispered to herself, Mom, what could that uncle be looking for Queen Medusa for just now? Beihua shook his head. I don't know, but it's probably not a good thing. Don't think too much. The affairs of those big shots have little to do with us. Huang Tao appeared again, already at the gate of the city. The guard at the gate saw such a person without a snake tail and said in some confusion, human. The snake guard with ink-colored snake scales on his body was about to step forward to interrogate, but found that the human who was there suddenly disappeared. He couldn't help but be stunned, looked around, turned around, and looked at each other with his companions. What a ghost. The magnificent white building stood in the center of the city, and the snake teams patrolled around the white building in an orderly manner. Their aura was stronger than that of the snakemen guarding the city wall. They were obviously the elite of the snakemen. Huang Tao walked straight past them, but the snakemen seemed not to see him and did not react at all. He twisted the space and avoided the inspection of the snakemen guards. Not long after, he walked into a wide hall inside the building. At the front of the hall, there was a platform with 9 steps. A golden snake head was carved on the platform. Under the snake head was a large chair covered with a red velvet carpet. On the chair lay a noble, enchanting, and somewhat wild beautiful woman. The white spotted snake tail protruded from under her red dress and naturally and lazily drooped from the side of the chair to the steps. She slowly opened her eyes, moved her snake body, and propped up her body. There was a bit of doubt in her narrow eyes. After looking around, she found nothing. She whispered to herself, is it an illusion? It's not an illusion. A voice echoed in the hall, and a figure quickly appeared beside her. The Medusa Queen's fighting spirit surged, staring at the figure that emerged from the void on one side. With a bit of solemnity in her eyes, she waved her hand almost subconsciously, and a dark red energy beam shot forward. The figure that emerged from the void did not move, but the energy beam automatically disintegrated when it approached him. Who are you? It's not polite to break into the temple of my snake people like this. Huang Tao smiled indifferently, but I'm not a polite person either. My name is Huang Tao. What about you? Phosphorus. What's your purpose? Phosphorus's face was not very good. I want you, Huang Tao said slightly frivolously. Chapter 494. You are looking for death. Phosphorus' eyes turned cold, and the red corrosive Dalki turned into a giant energy snake, opening its mouth and showing its fangs to bite Huang Tao. Huang Tao did not make any extra movements. He waved his hand lightly, and a cluster of colorless and transparent flames surged from his body. The high temperature burst and burned the energy snake in an instant. The fight in the hall attracted the attention of the outside world. 3 snake elders with Dao Huang strength rushed in. When they saw Huang Tao confronting Phosphorus, they immediately locked onto him. Your Majesty, who is this guy? An intruder? A snake man with black snake scales on his body and wearing black clothes asked. Kill him. As Phosphorus finished speaking, the 3 snake men immediately attacked Huang Tao, and green, yellow, and black Dalki burst out, shooting at him like a thread point, but they were all twisted and annihilated around him. Huang Tao stretched out his right hand and clenched the 3 snake men who came. An invisible pressure attacked them from all directions. This force was unstoppable and unavoidable. They couldn't even make any effective response. They screamed and were crushed into a ball of meat. Space strangulation? The white phosphorus queen looked at Huang Tao, who had done all this, as if nothing had happened, as if he had stepped on an insignificant ant, and screamed, You are a Daozun strongman. She couldn't help but show some despair on her face, and all kinds of thoughts were intertwined in her mind. The sadness of the death of her people, the unwillingness to become a plaything, the anger and hatred for this man named Huang Tao who trampled on their snake people. Huang Tao did not deny it, raised his right hand, and pinched the monocle on his right eye. Are you interested in trying to evolve? I have a strange fire in his hand. The colorless and transparent flame kept jumping. From the perspective of white phosphorus, the specific shape of the flame could not be seen, and its existence could only be vaguely observed from the air distorted by the high temperature. A feeling of irritability suddenly rose from deep inside the body, and a mixture of lust, tyranny, murderous intent and other impulsive and uncontrollable emotions filled the brain. Balin's face changed slightly, suppressed the restlessness in his heart, and said in a deep voice, What kind of flame is this? Invisible and intangible. The fire is born from the heart. The fallen heart flame ranked 14th on the list of strange fires. I have learned that you snake people who can be called Queen Medusa all have the ability to evolve through strange fires, right? Huang Tao's blue eyes were deep. Balin shook his head. Not all strange fires can be used for evolution. The characteristics of some strange fires will greatly reduce the success rate of evolution. The power of the fallen heart flame that arouses the heart fire will have a great impact on the process of evolution. It is almost impossible to succeed using it as a strange fire for evolution. Different Medusas will be suitable for different fires due to their own bloodline characteristics. The most universal and common one is the 10,000 Beasts Spirit Fire, which ranks 22nd on the list of fires. She looked at the ground and tried not to look at Huang Tao, so as not to be unable to suppress the hatred in her heart and be seen by him. What about you? What kind of fire is suitable for you? Huang Tao didn't care about Bailu's reaction at all and asked calmly. Bailu answered without hesitation, I don't know. The secret method of evolution is something that all Medusas will learn, but no one will waste time studying it. Even if the most suitable fire is found, the success rate of evolution is less than 1 in 1,000, which is the same as seeking death. Only the craziest, most power-seeking, or desperate Medusas who have to try, will take this path, and the news of the strange fire is not something that can be known casually. In the inheritance of our clan, only the specific properties of 6 kinds of strange fire are recorded. Huang Tao continued to ask, at what cultivation node can your Medusa evolve? Can it only be carried out at the peak of Daohuang? Why is he so concerned about this evolution? Balin was confused, but still answered obediently. The peak of Daohuang is just the lowest standard. As long as it exceeds the peak of Daohuang, it can be carried out at any time. However, evolution often comes with the effect of breaking through the realm, so it is generally chosen to try at a major bottleneck. Evolve one for me to see, Huang Tao said with a warm look, but a cold tone. He initially judged that Balin's strength was around 2-star Daozang, which reached the standard of evolution. Bailu said with great resistance, there is no possibility of success in evolving using the fallen heart flame. You'd better kill me. What about other strange fires? Other strange fires? Bailu was stunned, looked at Huang Tao, and asked in disbelief, do you have other strange fires? Well, you can pick one by yourself. Flames emerged from Huang Tao's palm, ranging from the Zhuanghuang flame ranked 23rd on the strange fire list to the Jindi burning heaven flame ranked 4th. Looking at the 20 gorgeous flames of different colors, Bailu was dazzled. 20 kinds of strange fires. A full 20 kinds of strange fires. The high temperature from these strange fires made her realize that these were all real strange fires. How is this possible? How did he do it? Not to mention the preciousness and rarity of strange fires, it is unheard of to take all 20 kinds of strange fires into his body. Is this mysterious man named Huang Tao really just a Daozun? How powerful must he be to be able to collect so many strange fires, and how powerful the power behind him must be? Balin bit her lip and said pleadingly, can I refuse? No. Huang Tao refused point at this point. Bei Phosphorus also guessed that Huang Tao seemed to want to use himself for an experiment. An experiment about the evolution of Queen Medusa. She twitched the corner of her mouth and no longer concealed her resentment. You just ask me a lot about evolutionary conditions. You don't know anything, so you want to use me for this experiment, right? Yeah. Huang Tao nodded without denying. Bei Phosphorus's emotions finally burst out. Knowing that she would die, she was no longer afraid of the other party's power. She gritted her teeth and said, "You damn bastard, do you think I will cooperate?" Huang Tao said nonchalantly, "If you don't cooperate, I will kill all your people and then find another Medusa queen. Anyway, there are so many snake tribes, we can always find someone who is willing to cooperate." Seeing the indifference and coldness revealed in those blue eyes, he gritted his white phosphorus silver teeth and said helplessly, "If I cooperate with you, will you let my people go?" Huang Tao pinched the crystal monocle on his right eye and chuckled. "Of course, you can choose the one that is most helpful for your evolution from these 20 kinds of strange fires. If you evolve successfully, I can make you my dependent, regardless of success or not. I can forcibly upgrade a clan member you designate to Daozang strength. Of course, you also know the consequences of such a forced upgrade, and you will lose further possibilities, but this can prevent your tribe's strength from declining significantly due to your death. In addition, I will also leave resources to cultivate a new Medusa queen for you. Then you force me to start evolution and get burned to death by strange fire?" Bei Phosphorus said sarcastically. "You can also refuse." Huang Tao's eyes were dark. "Tell me your answer." There was some struggle in Bei Phosphorus's eyes. He clenched his fists and finally said dejectedly, "I agree." Chapter 491 Initiation. For White Phosphorus, this is a no-brainer. This terrifying man who suddenly appeared and possessed 20 kinds of strange fires could easily destroy their snake tribe. The 3 Daohuang elders had already verified this fact with their lives. No matter what he chooses, he will die. But if he doesn't cooperate, the other party will be unable to achieve the purpose of the experiment and confirm some assumptions. And the price that needs to be paid is the lives of the entire clan. She now only hopes that the other party can keep his promise, leave Daozang level combat power to her tribe, and cultivate a new Medusa queen, so that the tribe's inheritance will not be cut off. Different tribes among the snake people will also. There is a struggle. Without the corresponding strength, their tribe cannot hold on to what they have now. In addition, if you choose to cooperate, you will not necessarily die. You can choose the one that suits you from the 20 kinds of exotic fire at will. I'm afraid that no Medusa queen has ever had such luxury. At this point, maybe I'm the first to enjoy this kind of treatment. Bei Phosphorus smiled somewhat self-deprecatingly. "Your Majesty, what happened?" A snake man wearing green clothes and blue scales ran and slightly panicked. She is the captain of Bei Phosphorus' personal guard. She just went to inspect the city's defense system. She felt the fluctuations here, and the fluctuations of fighting spirit rose violently and then subsided quickly, so she hurried back. The strong smell of blood from the 3 elders of the snake tribe being smashed to pieces in the main hall hit her face, which made her expression change drastically. Seeing the intact white phosphorus in front of me, I was slightly relieved. "Bei King, you came just in time." Bei Phosphorus said this, and then looked at Huang Tao. "You said you would help me raise one of my clansmen to the level of Daozang. Is this true?" Huang Tao smiled. "Of course, this is not very difficult." Then, let her. Bei Lu told Bei King the whole story, and she asked, "Are you willing to help me protect our tribe and train the next Medusa queen? This will sacrifice your future potential." Bei King glared at Huang Tao with red eyes. "Your Majesty the Queen, I'm going to stop her. Please leave quickly." Bei Phosphorus sighed and said softly, "Be more sensible. His power is not something we can fight against. This may be an opportunity for me." Bei King opened his mouth, but said nothing. Huang Tao took a step forward and said, "Have you finished discussing it? If so, let's get started. I need you to fulfill your promise and give your power to Bei King." Bei Phosphorus said firmly. "Can Huang Tao's cheeks suddenly split open, and a translucent star-colored worm with 12 rings came out. Seeing this scene, both Baking and Phosphorus couldn't help but feel a chill. The little bug turned into a stream of light and flew to Baking's shoulder. The latter tried his best to endure it and did not attack it. A powerful energy poured into Baking's body from the spiritual insect. Don't be stunned, hurry up and refine it as much as you can refine it. Upon hearing the reminder, Baking couldn't care less about anything else and immediately coiled up his snake body and began to run his skills. A surging energy poured into her meridians like a river bursting its banks, causing a look of pain on Baking's face. Another starlight flew out of Huang Tao's body and disappeared into Baking's body. This spiritual insect helped Baking control energy, sealing away the slightly violent excess power that would cause damage to her meridians bit by bit. The pain on Baking's face gradually eased and became peaceful, and her aura also increased rapidly at a perceptible speed. This time, the promotion is to pass the power of the spiritual insect to Baking through infusion into the body, which is similar to the way in the original work. Grandma Hua, the former head of the Hua sect, passed her power to Yan Jin. However, compared to Grandma Hua's method of teaching, Huang Tao's method was more crude, and the fighting spirit contained in the spirit worm itself was mottled, making it difficult for Baking to refine it and perfectly use it for his own use. The spirit insect lying on Baking's shoulder fell to the ground with a clack, twitched and then lay straight on the ground, making no sound. The spirit insect integrated into Baking's body, flew back in the form of a stream of light and reintegrated into Huang Tao's body. Phosphorus stretched out his hand and inserted his own fighting spirit into Baking's body to check her current situation. Baking did not make any move and allowed her to do whatever she wanted. After a while, Phosphorus took back his fighting spirit and murmured, "The peak Tao Huang. There is still a huge amount of energy sealed in the body. If there is a gap in the seal, the energy will continue to flow out. After being completely refined, it should be able to reach the level of a 4 to 5 star Daozang." She was relieved and quite satisfied with the result. Apart from the mottled quality of her fighting spirit, it did not have any adverse effects on Baking's body. This is a transformation pill. It is the resource compensation I promised to leave to your clan. Huang Tao threw a jade bottle to Baking, who subconsciously reached out to catch it. After a moment of pause, he continued, "In addition, you, Queen Medusa, need elixirs when you are pregnant, right? Do you have any medicinal materials? I can refine 2 of the highest grade for you." "Ah, you still an alchemist?" Bailu suddenly raised his head and stared at Huang Tao with bright eyes. The latter shrugged. "I haven't practiced it before, but I can probably do it." Lin stared at him and smiled helplessly. "Mr. Huang Tao, forgive me for being blunt. With the price you offered, there is no need to force it. A Daozang strongman solved the worry of the tribe's power being empty due to the failure of evolution, and 2 secret elixirs gave the tribe a future. Most tribes can't afford the highest level of 7th grade elixirs to cultivate the next Queen Medusa. You can find a Queen Medusa at random. As long as the other party has some ambition, some desire for evolution, and some sense of responsibility for the tribe, you can persuade them. But there are also those who are not so ambitious and are more afraid of death, who will reject my proposal. Your attitude and your feelings are not within my consideration. I only want the result. Obviously, my approach is faster." Huang Tao responded. Bailin thought about it. If the other party did not force him at the beginning, but tempted him to trade, what would he do? "I will probably hesitate for a long time, maybe 10 days or half a month, before giving an answer. Even if I agree, I will bargain to see if I can get more benefits. After all, not all Queen Medusa have the courage to risk everything." Her hatred for Huang Tao faded a lot, and she whispered, "When do we start?" "Wait until I refine the elixir you need." "Well, maybe next time I can try to trade first. Courtesy first and then force." Huang Tao responded. "Then why did I start with force?" Bailin opened his mouth and complained silently. Chapter 492, Learning to Make Medicine. "You guys go and get all the medicinal materials." "Well, I'll practice a level 6 practice first." Huang Tao muttered, and took out a bunch of medicinal materials from Neji. This is his first time making medicine. Before obtaining the flame of life, Amon's attribute did not have wood. According to the elixir refining method of Daoqi continent, refining medicine requires using the wood attribute to stimulate the medicinal properties of the medicinal materials in the last step of making the elixir. This step may be omitted for some low-level elixirs, but not for high-level elixirs. For example, Tang Zhen, the owner of the Burning Flame Valley, relied on his knowledge of some pharmacology to refine low-level elixirs. However, for high-level elixirs, he needed to hire someone to complete the last step. Amon has read all the prescriptions in the medicine dust ring. As his clone, Huang Tao also shared this part of the memory because of a special mission. Therefore, Huang Tao does not lack theoretical knowledge, but he does not have practical experience. What is the first step in refining medicine? Huang Tao was worried. There were some insights from the medicine dust and the bone flame ring, but those were relatively advanced techniques, and he had never studied some of the most basic knowledge of medicine refining. He raised his right hand and touched the bottom edge of the monocle with his index finger. After pondering for a long time, he asked, "Does your tribe have an alchemist? I need someone to guide me in the basic steps." Bay. Phosphorus opened his eyes wide and asked in surprise, "Aren't you an alchemist, Huang?" Tao shook his head. "I'm an alchemist. Aren't you planning to learn this?" "Don't worry, as far as I know, the secret method of your snake people, the advanced secret method also requires the use of 7th grade elixirs. Once I learn it, I can practice it right away. The most important thing in refining medicine is the control of the fire and the strong soul perception to sense the subtle changes in the medicinal materials during the refining process and adjust the temperature of the flame according to the changes. The strange fires in Huang Tao's hands are all strange fire Amon, which can freely control the temperature of the flame. At this point, even the top alchemy masters cannot compare to them who are fire spirits. Huang Tao has no shortage of soul perception. After the original Amon has the soul of the emperor, the body of an ancient dragon, and the strength of the 9-star fighting saint. The upper limit of Amon's clones has also reached an extremely high level, and normal development is almost unreachable. To the limit, as a clone of Amon with a special mission, Huang Tao has upgraded his strength to 1000 through aggregation, and his soul realm has also entered the spiritual realm. If a normal alchemist has a soul in the spiritual realm, he is enough to refine 8th grade elixirs. It is of course not a problem for Huang Tao to refine 7th grade elixirs with such a configuration. The prerequisite is to solve his lack of basic knowledge of elixirs. Hearing Huang Tao's answer, Bay Phosphorus twitched the corner of her mouth. She didn't want the medicinal materials that the clan had finally collected to go to waste. After a moment of silence, he asked, "How about changing the conditions? Can you help us create another Daozang, Huang?" Tao turned his head and said expressionlessly, "What gave you the illusion that I was trading with you, Bay?" Lu closed her mouth and took a few steps back. She said to Baking, "Go and invite Master Yan, Bay." King nodded and left silently. Bay Phosphorus took advantage of this moment to clean up the bodies of the 3 killed snake elders and used his own fighting spirit to wash away the entire room to dissipate the smell of blood. After a while, a snake man wearing red and orange clothes with a fiery red body followed Baking to the main hall. His hair is white and he looks a bit old. His eyes are brown and have an upright oval shape, but they don't give people the cold feeling like ordinary snake eyes. Yan Mu has met the clan leader. I wonder what the clan leader has summoned him to do. The old fiery red snake man arched his hands towards Bay Phosphorus. "Master Yan, I need you to help teach Mr. Huang Tao some basic knowledge of refining medicine, human." Yang Mu frowned. The relationship between barbarians and ordinary humans is not harmonious. Because of their animal-like characteristics, barbarians are often discriminated against by humans. In addition, the strange amorous feelings of barbarian women have also become the targets of many covetations. Slave catching teams often come to the grasslands to capture barbarian women for sale. Eagle Fang City, where Amon took the space wormhole, was a slave trading center. Although he was displeased, Yan Mu still faithfully fulfilled Bay Phosphorus's instructions and began to guide Huang Tao. "First of all, you need to prepare a medicine cauldron. If you are a beginner, the medicine cauldron does not need to be too good. Just one mouthful will be enough. Too much will not be conducive to your mastery." Yanmu said in an indifferent tone. Without emotion, Huang Tao snapped his fingers, and a medicinal cauldron made of the Golden Emperor's burning heaven flame appeared in the hall. The terrifying high temperature made the other three, Beilu, Baking, and Yanmu, take a few steps back involuntarily. This is strange fire. What kind of method is this? Condensing flames into a cauldron? Yanmu's eyes widened. Just this ability to control flames made Yanmu feel inferior. He was just a small 5th level alchemist, condensing fire into a cauldron. Even if you want to achieve this step, you need at least the level of fire control of a 7th grade alchemy master, and to truly apply it to alchemy with ease, only those who can refine 8 or 9 color elixirs master of alchemy. Phosphorus, who didn't know much about refining medicine, noticed Yanmu's excitement and asked, "Master Yan, is this difficult?" Yanmu nodded. "At least among the alchemists I know, there is no one who can compare with him." Then, he asked in a weird tone, "Do people like this really need my guidance? Patriarch, are you trying to amuse me?" A trace of anger appeared on his face. The blood of the snake people is mainly cold and yin, and the fire attribute of snake people is very rare. It is even rarer to be a pharmacist with wood in the fire point. Although Yanmu is only a 5th grade pharmacist, his status in the snake people is equivalent to that of a normal 6th grade pharmacist in the human kingdom. Even the Queen Medusa, the head of the tribe, needs to respect him. A trace of doubt flashed across Balin's face, and he shook his head. "How dare I tease you, Master? It was this human's request, and I don't know what's wrong with him." "Chief, how can you call this master so rudely? This is an alchemist of at least the 6th grade, or even the 7th grade. Yanmu accused Balin of wrongdoing without any euphemism. Balin, she couldn't help cursing in her heart. Damn, this is the person who came to kill me. If it weren't for the tribe, I would fight him. Although the compensation is a lot, if I can, I don't want to die." However, the news that the 3 elders were forced to use secret methods to evolve and died at the hands of Huang Tao was not convenient to spread, so Balin silently injured Yanmu's accusations. Baking snorted coldly and looked at Yanmu coldly. Yanmu glared back, "Impolite little girl." Bei King's forehead jumped, clenched his fists, and then slowly loosened them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493 Evolution begins. Huang Tao used the medicinal materials of the 6th grade elixir recipe, and after refining them for several furnaces, Yanmu twitched in pain, and his tail shrank. This also made him realize that Huang Tao was not the master of alchemy that he initially thought. He was indeed a novice, but he met all the conditions for becoming an alchemist, and got started very quickly. After Yanmu's guidance, Huang Tao quickly made up for his basic deficiencies, and after 5 attempts to refine the alchemy, he finally succeeded once. Moreover, what was refined was the Dowling pill, which was famous among the 6th grade elixirs. The effect was to raise the Dao by 1 level. "That's enough." Huang Tao nodded to Yanmu, indicating that he had mastered the basic knowledge. Yanmu felt emotional that in just half a day, others had surpassed his lifetime efforts and reached a level that would be difficult to achieve in his lifetime. However, deep down in his heart, he was also a little proud. He had also taught a master of alchemy, and he could brag about it for the rest of his life. After Huang Tao became familiar with the basic skills, he finally began to use the medicinal materials collected by the White Snake tribe to formally refine the Cheyenne blood and bone pill required for the superior secret technique. This is a 7th grade elixir. Huang Tao threw each medicinal plant into the fire cauldron. Holding the fire cauldron with his hands wide open, wisps of golden flames continued to pour into the fire cauldron from his palms, refining the medicinal materials inside. Seeing this, Baking's eyes flickered. She looked at the clan leader Phosphorus and indicated with her eyes what to do next. When the alchemist is refining the elixir, he needs to use his soul power to control the refining degree of the medicinal materials and the temperature of the flame. He must devote himself wholeheartedly to the whole process. Otherwise, if he is not careful, the elixir may be destroyed and people killed. Therefore, it is very taboo to be disturbed when refining medicine. The pharmacist who is refining medicine is often the least alert and most vulnerable. Seeing the killing intent in Baking's eyes, Bay Phosphorus fell into silence. She was hesitant, wondering whether she should give it a try and take advantage of this moment to launch a sneak attack. Did Huang Tao really devote himself wholeheartedly to refining medicine? Doesn't he know how vulnerable the alchemist is at this time? Would he be so careless as to expose his backside to us unpreparedly? But this is the last chance. If I don't give it a try, then I will be forced to start evolution, or die under the burning of strange fire, or die in a thunder disaster. But if the sneak attack fails, I'm afraid that the whole clan will be poisoned. Now that Baking is in the clan, the tribe can still maintain its decline, even if it loses me. We can't gamble with the lives of the whole clan on a small probability event. After struggling in his heart for a long time, Bay Phosphorus finally shook his head, signaling Baking to endure it. Huang Tao made a TSK sound, slowly retracted his open arms, and said to her in a very unscrupulous tone, "Hey, you were able to resist a sneak attack. I'm actually looking forward to it." Sure enough, he had been on guard and didn't focus on refining alchemy at all. There was no surprise in Bay Phosphorus's eyes. Baking felt his hands and feet were cold, thanks to Her Majesty the Queen's prudent behavior. Otherwise, the entire ethnic group might have fallen into catastrophe. Yan Mu also noticed that something was not right in the atmosphere. The man in front of him might be an enemy, rather than a friend to the clan leader. But he couldn't help but frequently shift his gaze to the fire cauldron. As an alchemist, he values medicinal materials extremely, not to mention that the medicinal materials in the fire cauldron are the Sky Soul Blood Bone Pill that is related to the future of their snake tribe. He wanted to remind him many times, saying that leaving the medicinal materials alone would lead to failure in refining the medicine. But the slightly solemn atmosphere at the scene made him hesitate to speak. Bay Phosphorus showed a forced smile and spoke out what Yan Mu was thinking. Are the medicinal materials really good? We can't afford such a loss. The materials for the Cheyenne Blood and Bone Pill have been collected by the clan for so many years, but they are no more than 3 servings, she said to Yan Mu. Old Yan, thank you for your hard work. Please go down first. Yan Mu took a deep look at Huang Tao, bowed respectfully to Bay Phosphorus, and retreated. Who said I didn't pay attention to refining the medicine? Isn't it just a matter of having hands? The one who condensed the fire into the cauldron was the Golden Emperor's burning heaven flame, and the one who refined the medicinal materials was the other strange fires in the cauldron. They all had Amon's consciousness and were able to act independently. It seems that Huang Tao is refining the elixir, but in fact it is Yahomeng who is refining the elixir, and Huang Tao is just pretending. But now, he doesn't even pretend anymore. Let the flames refine themselves, but you didn't even move your hands now. Bay Phosphorus opened his mouth, not knowing what to say for a moment. She fell silent and waited for the results of the alchemy. The refining of 7th grade elixirs takes a long time. Even if Huang Tao assigned the work of refining the medicinal materials to different strange fires and let them be refined simultaneously in the cauldron, it still took half a day. After the medicinal materials have been refined, the flame of life has exerted its unique properties. All the medicinal materials that were burned by the flame and turned into liquid medicine merged together. The wood attribute flame stimulated the medicinal properties in the medicinal materials, and the elixir slowly took shape. The surface is bumpy, and the prototype of the elixir, which is about the size of a langan, has condensed. After the final cultivation, the surface of the elixir becomes smooth, and yellow and purple intersect to form a yin and yang fish pattern. The fire cauldron slowly opened, and a rich medicinal fragrance emerged from the cauldron. What followed was bursts of thunder in the sky. Heavy dark clouds gathered over Whitesnake City, and the sky and the earth became dark. Such a vision made the entire Whitesnake City look towards the palace where Bay Phosphorus lived. Is it really done? Seeing with his own eyes that Huang Tao looked indifferent except for pressing the fire cauldron at the beginning, Bay Phosphorus didn't have any hope for this alchemy. But the aroma of the medicine at this moment and the sudden surge of thunder attribute energy between heaven and earth both showed that the alchemy had not failed. Yan Mu, a snake man with white hair and fiery red body, looked at the thunder in the sky with a strange brilliance. In his eyes, the emergence of high-level elixirs will trigger strange phenomena in the world. This thunder disaster is what the alchemists like them have been pursuing all their lives. It's so beautiful. Yang Mu murmured, point in his eyes. The thunder clouds filled with destructive power in the sky were not terrifying, but rather fascinating and beautiful. Point. A silver-white lightning struck from the sky. The power of the lightning was not strong, but Huang Tao felt bursts of phantom pain. Point. A flame broke through the roof and rushed towards the thunder in the sky. Point. Ranked 11th on the strange fire list. Kowloon Thunder Gang Fire. The flames transformed into dragon shapes and swallowed the lightning in one mouthful. Point. It soared into the sky and flew up to the clouds. A force of attraction suddenly burst out from its mouth. The power of thunder in the clouds quickly surged towards the fire dragon. In an instant, the rich thunder was swallowed up completely. Point. The dark clouds dispersed, the sun shone down, and White Snake City was illuminated by light again. Point. The fire cauldron dissipated and turned into a flame again and returned to Huang Tao's body. Point. Only then did Baking notice that Huang Tao had more than one kind of strange fire. In addition to the golden strange fire used to condense the alchemy cauldron, there is also the strange fire that swallows thunder. Huang Tao opened his palms, and in his palms were two yellow and purple elixirs in the shape of a yin and yang fish, exuding a strong fragrance. He opened the furnace at once and refined 2 pills. Normally, unless a very high-level alchemist refines some low-level elixirs, it is impossible to refine 2 pills at once, because the amount of effort required is not just twice as simple. Point. Huang Tao put the elixir into a jade bottle and handed it to Bay Phosphorus. I have fulfilled my promise. Now it's your turn. Choose a strange fire, Bay. Phosphorus subconsciously took the elixir and automatically translated his words in his mind. Choose a way to die. Point. She handed the elixir to Baking and told some secrets that only the clan leader could know. Finally, she solemnly said, the White Snake tribe will be left to you from now on to train the new Medusa Queen. With better secret nourishment, she should be even better than me. Go and seal off the surroundings of the palace. Don't let anyone come in and disturb me. Don't tell others that I was forced. Just say that I chose the path of evolution. In addition, the 3 elders went on a mission. After a year and a half, you can just say that they disappeared. Bay Phosphorus took a deep breath, turned around to face Amon, and said, I have made up my mind. Choose the flame of life. Among all the strange fires, the flame of life is the mildest and has a rich vitality. It is the most likely to allow her to survive in the evolution. As you wish. A flower with a white bottom and an emerald green top, like a liquid, surrounded by layers of mist, flew out of Huang Tao's palm and burned slowly in the hall. Point. Bay Phosphorus glanced at the sky outside and the rows of buildings in the city with nostalgia. She adjusted her mentality, swayed the snake's tail, and moved closer to the flames. He raised his hands lightly, and his sleeves naturally slid down, revealing a pair of white arms. After a slight pause, Bay Phosphorus said, let the temperature of the flame be lower. Huang Tao snapped his fingers, and the flame of life automatically slowly lowered the temperature. Listen to you. When you see the right time, just stop. Stop the downward trend of the flame. Temperature stopped, and Bay Phosphorus said again, I'm not sure how long it will take to evolve. Do you have enough fighting spirit? Can you keep the flame at this temperature? Huang Tao chuckled and said, it won't be a problem if it lasts for 10 days and a half. I can adjust the temperature and ripeness for you, no matter what the temperature is. I have also seen another Medusa Queen evolve before. It only took her half a day. How mature is the heat? Do you think you are cooking steak? Bay Phosphorus complained in his heart. Did it succeed? Successful. She used the wild Kinglian earth core fire, all by herself. She doesn't have the luxury of you. She can freely choose the flame and have someone to help control the temperature. Huang Tao replied. Point. This example gave Bay Phosphorus some confidence. Compared to that Queen Medusa, her conditions were much better. It seems that he may not die. Bay Phosphorus's eyes became determined. She wanted to succeed. She began to form strange hand seals, which were roughly similar to those when the color scale queen evolved, but with slight differences. The flames of life were drawn and moved closer to the white phosphorus. Chapter 494. Half failure. although it is the most gentle flame of living beings among the strange fires, and although the temperature has become lower as required by white phosphorus after Huan Tao's control, strange fire is still strange fire after all, and it is a violent and aggressive energy. Gentleness is only relative. White phosphorus couldn't help but let out a shrill wail and scream before it touched the emerald green flame. The violent energy fluctuations spread out from the palace. The snake leaders who were attracted by the movement of refining medicine but were stopped by Yan Mu changed their faces and asked sternly, "Master Yan Mu, what is Her Majesty the Queen doing? Is that human alchemist really trustworthy?" Yan Mu was also very confused. He just noticed that the relationship between the queen and the human seemed to be not harmonious, since the alchemy has ended, and the queen of white phosphorus has let out such a shrill scream. It would be inappropriate to stop her again. He took the initiative to say, "Maybe we should go in and see if we can help Her Majesty the Queen." The snake leaders nodded and quickly moved forward to the palace. Baking stopped them in front of them. "Her Majesty the Queen is undergoing a very important evolution, and no one can disturb her." "Evolution? The Queen wants to try the secret method? Such a big thing. Why don't you discuss it with us?" A green snake man who looked younger changed his face. Bold. "Does Her Majesty the Queen need to ask for your consent in advance for what she wants to do?" None of the three elders objected. Baking said coldly. Bay Phosphorus and Baking decided to conceal the truth of the matter. Letting hatred spread would not benefit their white snake tribe at all. What if everyone hated Huan Tao so much that he felt that this was a threat or someone did something to anger him? It would probably bring disaster to the tribe. Baking felt very uncomfortable. Is this the sadness of the weak? Being bullied, even the hated ones dare not stay and can only endure silently and bear it alone. She had infinite admiration and pity for Queen Bay Phosphorus at the same time. She also had an infinite desire for power, but this was her life. She would refine the power that Huan Tao had left her in the seal, and then stay in Daozang, guarding the white snake tribe, until she grew old and died. She probed her soul power into the ring and concentrated it on the jade bottle containing 2 heavenly soul blood bone pills. This would be the sustenance of her dream and the continuation of the spirit of the white phosphorus queen. The green snakeman was uneasy, staring at the palace, listening to the increasingly shrill screams, and he wanted to force his way in. "I said, no one is allowed to go through." Baking suddenly burst out with the aura of the peak of Daohuan. The powerful aura made the snakeman leaders look at him in horror. The green snakeman couldn't help but screamed, "Daohuan, Bay King, how come you are so much stronger all of a sudden?" asked a female snakeman leader who looked a little old. Baking said carefully, "This is the backup plan left by Her Majesty the Queen. If she fails to evolve, I will take charge and guard the tribe until the next Queen Medusa is born." She also left 2 heavenly soul blood bone pills. Her Majesty the Queen has thought carefully before doing anything and has considered the future of the tribe. "I will soon reach the realm of Daozang." Several snake leaders looked at each other and fell silent and stayed with Baking. Strength is the best way to explain it. The weak rely on the strong and succumb to the strong. If it weren't for my strength, they wouldn't give up so easily and would definitely find a way to force their way in. Baking looked at the snake leaders who were convinced by her and had a deeper understanding in her heart. The entire palace has been wrapped in emerald green flames. Above the big hole in the roof that was broken by the 9 dragons' thunder gang fire against the sky thunder, curling mists are constantly rising. These mists are the outer flames of the flame of life, with lower temperatures and more vitality. But even so, these mists will burn the palace buildings they touch into nothingness. The huge palace disappeared in the flames, and the white mist with a hint of green covered the empty space left after the palace disappeared, making it difficult to see what happened inside. A giant snake with black spots in white was looming in the mist. It kept struggling and twisting, making a shrill painful wail. Baking's heart was clenched by this cry. Huang Tao condensed a chair with flames and sat on it. His light blue eyes looked at the giant snake that became charred under the burning of the flames without any emotion. The originally beautiful giant snake was already in pieces. All the scales were burned and cracked, fell off, or melted in the flames. Large cracks appeared on the skin, and carbonized pieces of meat kept falling off. After a long time, the shrill screams gradually became smaller and weaker. The giant snake stopped struggling and lay on the ground motionless. The flame of life still maintained a constant temperature, burning slowly. It could sense that the white phosphorus still had a faint breath of life. As long as the evolution was not complete, or the white phosphorus was not completely dead, it would not stop. After a long time, dark clouds gathered in the sky again, and a thunderbolt suddenly fell. The silver lightning accurately landed on the charred giant snake, smashing its already carbonized body to pieces. The expanded flame of life gradually shrank to the size of a fist, and returned to Huang Tao's body. Failed. A trace of disappointment flashed across Huang Tao's pale blue eyes, but this disappointment quickly disappeared, and a faint breath emerged from the pile of ashes. A white arm stretched out from inside, followed by a mostly naked and smooth body. Next, there was a half face with white and dense shapes like an evil spirit, and a clear dividing line appeared on the body, extending from the left chin to the right lower abdomen. The left side has white snake scales, and even the arm is claw-shaped, while the right side is a normal human form. Under the lower abdomen, there is still a snake tail, but it is much shorter than before. On both sides of the snake body, two deformed short legs like the hind legs of a crocodile have grown. Under the rich vitality of the flame of life, Beilou saved his life, but the evolution was only halfway through, and he turned into a deformed and ugly monster. Beilou turned his head to look at his new body, touched his cheek and the left half of his body with scales, and a bit of loss and regret appeared in his eyes. Huang Tao looked at her and said, TSK, your condition seems to be much better than the Queen Medusa who just completed the evolution of the Gamma Empire, but because the flame temperature is too low and the choice is the flame of life, it is not stimulating enough, and there is no meaning of burning the current body and rebirth from destruction. If you change a different fire, or if I don't let me adjust the temperature of the fire so low, maybe it will succeed. Bei Lin was silent for a while, pulled the corner of his mouth, and smiled. Look at the good side. I survived, and my bloodline evolved halfway, becoming more powerful. The price is to become a monster. This appearance is no less than that of the Mo family. Huang Tao commented on Beilin's appearance very impolitely. He said in a very happy mood, your semi-evolved state allows me to verify some of my guesses, which is very important. Next, do you want to cooperate with me? I need more Queen Medusa. Chapter 495. First courtesy, then force. Bei Phosphorus said subconsciously, can I refuse? Huang Tao's smile remained unchanged. What do you think? No, I can't. Bei Phosphorus forced a smile on her face, which was half beautiful and half covered with fine pale scales, and gave the answer herself. She whispered, then why did you ask me for my opinion? This is polite. Okay. First courtesy and then force, right? She sighed secretly, feeling in her heart. Where did this lunatic come from? Why am I so unlucky to meet such a guy? Bei Phosphorus was silent for a while and asked, why do you want so many Queen Medusa? What do you see from my evolution? A possibility about my future path. Huang Tao responded, since you said cooperation, how do you cooperate? Don't think about using threats to make me do things. I'm not saying that threats are not okay. Well, some rewards will be more motivated. Bei Phosphorus wanted to be tough at first, but from this brief contact, this is definitely a ruthless guy. Halfway through, he decisively obeyed his heart and changed to a euphemistic tone. Well, the conditions are still the same as yours, but one less transformation pill. You can choose any strange fire when evolving. Bring your own herbs. I will refine the heavenly soul bone and blood pill. You can also exchange it for other 7th grade pills, which require a pill formula, plus create a Daozan for their tribe. You are responsible for contacting other Medusa queens and persuading them to trade with me. For every one you persuade, I will refine a 6th grade pill for you. 3 opportunities to refine a 6th grade pill can be exchanged for one 7th grade pill. 3 opportunities to refine a 7th grade pill can be exchanged for creating a Daozang. Bei Lin's eyes lit up. Since he couldn't resist, he would seize the opportunity to strengthen himself and strive to return the humiliation given by the other party one by one in the future. Although she knew that this hope was very slim, it was still a thought. Seeing that there was no movement in the palace, Baking thought for a moment and ordered the snake leaders, you wait here. Whoever dares to come in, prepare to go to the snake cave. Hearing the word snake cave, the leaders of the snake tribe also changed their faces. That is the place where the white snake tribe specially uses to punish criminals. The snake cave is full of mad and irrational poisonous snakes for various reasons. They will attack anyone who enters. The punishment will be sealed and put into it. After a long time, even the Douluo will be in danger of life and die under the torture of various snake venoms. You have no right to do this. The dark green snake man stared at Baking with an indignant look. You can try and see if I can do this. Baking's tone was slightly cold point as she spoke. She no longer paid attention to these commanders and ran towards the original palace, which was surrounded by a mist and had turned into an empty space point. The land was warm and some places were already cracked. Swimming on it made Baking feel a slight burning pain point. When she saw the figure with a human body and a snake tail in the mist, she couldn't help but shout excitedly, "Your Majesty, it's great, you are okay." But when she got closer, she saw that the once beautiful Queen Medusa disappeared and turned into a rather hideous monster. "Your Majesty, your face." Baking whispered softly, "It's a small matter. I'm lucky to be alive. Baking, I have to leave the tribe recently. Please take care of the things in the tribe." After explaining some things, Bay Phosphorus and Huan Tao set out together and headed for other medium-sized snake tribes. Although Huan Tao himself could use various methods to persuade Queen Medusa to cooperate with his experiments and evolve, he guessed that one's own will, mental state, and heart would affect the success of the evolution point. With Bay Phosphorus, a half-evolved example in front, it is easier to persuade, and it can also inspire their ambitions and make them more determined when evolving. Point in the inner courtyard of Cannon College. In the empty courtyard, two figures kept fighting. One person was wearing a dark blue suit, and his attack was fierce, and every punch brought a whistling sound. The other figure was wearing a black dress. While moving her feet, she cleverly avoided the opponent's attack, only occasionally raising her white palm to block some tricks that were not so easy to avoid, and at the same time, launched a light counter-attack. Although the woman in the black dress kept retreating, everyone could see that she was firmly in the upper hand. Bang, fists and palms collided, and Xiao Yan retreated several steps, leaving deep footprints on the ground with each step. His opponent, Xiao Meng in a black dress, retreated like catkins, light and lithe, as if weightless. After Xiao Yan refined the sea heart flame, the burning art was further improved to the advanced level of the Zuan rank. His cultivation also broke through the threshold and reached the Dowling 3 stars. Originally, he could have improved a little more, but he was worried that improving too fast would make his foundation unstable, so he suppressed it. In order to adapt to the surge in power, he kept fighting with high intensity, fighting with Hu Jia, Wu Heo, Zuna, or Xiao Meng, and each time he exhausted his Dao Ki. This was not the first time for such a competition. Xiao Yan rubbed his numb wrist, shook his head, and said with some frustration, "No more fighting, I can't beat you, TSK. TSK, the master Xiao Yan I know, is not someone who will give up easily." Xiao Meng said gently, "Not giving up depends on the situation. Just like now, no matter how hard I try, I'm not your opponent, so I gave up on beating you today. But from a longer term perspective, I still haven't given up on the goal of catching up with you." Xiao Yan responded with a smile, "Come on, you can do it." Xiao Meng clenched his right fist, bent his arm, and made a cheering gesture. Xiao Yan shook his head slightly and laughed, "You have confidence in me. I really don't know how you practiced, and your cultivation level has improved so quickly. I heard that you were a Dowling a few months ago. My situation is a bit special." Feeling that his Dao Ki was almost solid, Xiao Yan once again thought about the strange fire. He looked at Xiao Meng. "Do you have any news about the strange fire?" "Strange fire?" Xiao Meng repeated. "Yes, or which areas have abnormal fire energy and are particularly active?" Xiao Meng smiled and answered the question irrelevantly. "Have you been to the Heaven Burning Refining Equipment Tower? This is the characteristic of the inner courtyard. How can you not go and see it?" Xiao Yan had heard of the heaven-burning refining key tower many times, but he had never been there. Hearing Xiao Meng's answer, he couldn't help but become more curious about the place that could be called the core of the inner courtyard of Canon Academy. Could it be related to the strange fire? Chapter 496, Heavenly Burning Refining Key Tower. From the fire energy hunting competition to the power list rewards, they are all awarded in the form of fire energy. When the inner courtyard issues tasks and asks people to do things, they will usually be settled directly with fire energy. Fire energy has been integrated into every aspect of the students in the inner courtyard of Canon Academy, and it is a currency recognized by everyone. The greatest use of fire energy is to practice in the Xianfen Key Refining Tower. That mysterious building must be so popular because of its good enough effect and uniqueness. Xiao Yan walked out of the house with the red fire crystal card he obtained after defeating Zhao Mingru. Xiao Meng didn't tell him too much in detail. She just mentioned the name and was half covered like a riddler. Xiao Yan decided to go on an on-site inspection. As soon as he went out, he saw someone who surprised him. Black hair, brown eyes, linen clothes, thin body, ordinary facial features, and dark outline. This was the powerful enemy he encountered in the final stage of the fire energy hunting competition. Zhao Mingru. The inner courtyard occupies the entire huge basin, which is very vast, but the number of students inside is only 1,000, and the students live very scattered. Xiao Yan stepped forward and said hello. Hello, classmate Zhao. What a coincidence. It is a kind of fate to meet you in such a big college. Zhao Mingru glanced back at him and said in a strange tone, don't you know I live next door to you? Isn't it strange that I can't touch you? Ah. Xiao Yan was stunned and touched his nose, feeling a little surprised. He really didn't know this on the first day he entered the inner courtyard. Xiao Meng gave him haze in An. After that, in order to adapt to the skyrocketing strength, he stayed in the courtyard all the time, either realizing it on his own or sparring with Xiao Meng, Zuna and others, without once being out. Xiao Yan subconsciously glanced at the pavilion next door that was one floor shorter and said, are you going to Xianfen Key Refining Tower to practice? Zhao Mengru shook his head. He suddenly seemed to think of something and asked, are you interested in the earth tempering body lotion? Earth centered body quenching milk. Xiao Yan repeated the name with undisguised joy on his face. This is a kind of spiritual creature born under the earth. It takes 100 years to become a mist and 1,000 years to become a liquid. The highest grade among them can be called the Earth's core body tempering milk, which has the effect of cleansing the bones and refining the marrow. He said excitedly, do you have this thing? Zhao Mengru tightened his black gloves and responded, no, but I found its whereabouts, but it is guarded by a monster. I can hold it back, but I can't kill it, so I need to find someone to cooperate. Originally, I wanted to invite Xiao Meng, but now that I've met you, I'll invite you too. Do you want to join forces? Get half of the money from the last person. Xiao Yan was stunned. One person is half as much? Are the conditions so good? You think the conditions are too favorable? Zhao Mingru seemed to be aware of his doubts and explained with a smile, the risk for you is not small. It is a 5th level monster. I can hold it back, but if there is a mistake, I can evacuate at any time, but you may be blocked in the lair by it. You have to bear the responsibility, half the risk. Xiao Yan listened and nodded in approval. Being blocked in the lair by a 5th level monster was almost a life-threatening situation for ordinary students. Of course, he is not an ordinary student. He has already tried it. Although he can't even make a real 2-color fire lotus, King Meng can easily make 3-color lotus, including Kinglian Earth Core Fire, Bone Spirit Cold Fire, and Sea Heart Flame. Colorful lotus, and he had no doubt that, after taking a purple fire pill, King Meng would be able to incorporate the purple fire into it. He estimated that this kind of fire lotus was enough to severely damage Dao Huang, and even a normal Dao King would not be able to stop it. When will we set off? Xiao Yan asked impatiently. No rush, it will be the day after tomorrow. I still need to prepare. Zhao Mingru waved his hand past Xiao Yan and walked to his residence. Looking at the gate of the next courtyard that opened and closed, Xiao Yan suppressed the excitement in his heart and walked towards the Xianfen Key Refining Tower according to his original plan. 10 minutes later, He arrived at the inner courtyard near the core area. After searching for a long time, he did not see the towering tower. I found out the location after asking a classmate. After a while, he walked to a depression. In the center of the depression, there was a black tower. Only the top and the entrance on the first floor of the black tower were exposed. More of the tower was buried underground, like an iceberg floating in the water. No wonder I couldn't find it. After searching for a long time, Xiao Yan also noticed that there was a layer of twisting and folding around the tower. He had seen similar situations in the book pavilion in the outer courtyard. At the entrance, a tutor was sitting on a chair, closing his eyes and concentrating. Xiao Yan walked straight over and asked, "Hello, mentor, I want to enter the tower to practice. What should I do?" The young mentor opened his eyes, glanced at him, and replied, "Just go in directly. Are you a freshman this year? Don't go to the second level. Feel it in the first level first. Pay attention to your emotions. Stop in moderation. Don't take too long to practice for the first time." Xiao Yan walked towards the entrance of the black tower. After the black tower approached the black tower, he frowned slightly and slowed down. The black tower was made of special materials, and it gave off a chill, which made Xiao Yan faintly feel that the strange fire in his body seemed to have become a little less active. Suppress the alien fire. Could it be said that the strange fire of Canon Academy is sealed in this black tower? Xiao Yan asked Yao Chen his opinion in his heart. Yao Chen replied with a smile, "It seems that you are lucky. The strange fire you need is probably at the bottom of this tower." Xiao Yan smiled and continued to move forward. As he got closer to the dark gate, the strange fire in his body suddenly touched Meng. King Meng's voice with some doubt came from his heart, which made Xiao Yan more certain of his previous judgment. At the bottom of the deep Xianfen refining key tower, in a fiery red magma world, the invisible and colorless flame suddenly condensed and turned into a thin young man wearing a black classical robe, a hard-topped soft hat, and a crystal ground monocle on his right eye. He seemed to sense something, raised his head, and stared upward. His side seemed to pass through the long magma channel, penetrated the layers of seals, and fell on the handsome boy who had just entered the black tower at the entrance. Fallen heart flame. Amon straightened his monocle, raised the corner of his mouth, and outlined a smile. He snapped his fingers and whispered to himself, "Let me say hello to you first." Xiao Yan stepped on the hard stone surface, and suddenly his face changed, and his whole face turned red. A white mist emerged from his body, making a sizzling sound. Everyone who enters the Xianfen refining key tower will be affected by the falling heart flame, and a wisp of invisible and intangible flame will be born in their hearts. Xiao Yan was treated specially by Amon, and he said hello, and this wisp of heart fire burned particularly vigorously. Chapter 497, Guardian and War. The invisible and intangible flames burned fiercely in Xiao Yan's heart, and a negative emotion that made him restless suddenly rose in his heart. Caught off guard, he was unable to respond effectively for a while, and his eyes were full of bloodshot. An old student who entered the room at about the same time as him saw Xiao Yan's appearance and understood that he was in a state of heart fire. He did not leave in a hurry, but watched from the side and observed his situation. If the new student could not control the heart fire by himself, he would immediately call for help from the elders. He suddenly found that there was another person around him. The instructor who was originally on duty at the entrance had come over at some point. The on-duty instructor nodded slightly at him and said with a smile, "I'll watch. You can practice on your own." The old student nodded, but did not leave in a hurry. He still looked at Xiao Yan. "I want to see how he will behave." Xiao Yan quickly reacted and controlled the Azure Lotus Earth heart fire to surround it and isolate it from its influence on himself. At the same time, he called Yao Chen, "Teacher, what is this? Invisible and colorless. It appears through the heart, and there is no trace to be found. This is the falling heart flame." Yao Chen's voice with some doubts sounded from Xiao Yan's heart. "Is this the falling heart flame?" Xiao Yan was slightly surprised and then ecstatic. "I haven't even gone to look for it yet, and the strange fire came by itself. Could it be that I'm really the man of destiny?" Yao Chen's next words poured cold water on him again. "Don't be excited. This heart flame is too weak. It is not the body of the falling heart flame, but just a projection. that naturally appears in your body after approaching it. Oh, so. Xiao Yan was a little disappointed and soon shared up point. Since it can produce a projection, it means that the real body of the strange fire is below. Under the guidance of Yao Chen, Xiao Yan discovered that the falling heart flame can help purify and refine the fighting spirit point. He came back to his senses and found that there were mentors and seniors looking after him. After thanking him, he continued to walk inside point in the depths of Yunlin Mountain. Jama Empire Point. An old man in a moon-white robe stood in front of the cliff, with his hands behind his back, looking at the endless mountains and ridges, his eyes deep. He. I didn't expect you to break through to Daozang without making any noise. Very good. The black mist-shrouded Wu protector floated from the air and said happily, you seem to be looking forward to this from the beginning. Yan Jin looked at him indifferently. Wu protector did not hide this and said hoarsely, since you have broken through to Daozang, do you want Yunlin sect to go further? No. Yan Jin answered very quickly and decisively. Wu protector, was silent for a while and his tone was a little gloomy. It seems that breaking through Daozang has given you a lot of confidence and you dare to tease me. Wu protector, you can say it directly. Yan Jin showed a gentle smile on his face. Hey, I didn't let you do any tasks for so long before. You have to make up for it now. The Guardian Wu said without question. You let Yunlin sect control the entire Jama Empire first, and then go to war with the Chuan Empire. Yan Jin pinched his right eye socket. Is this your purpose? The Guardian Wu laughed softly. What our soul palace needs is souls. It's not good to cause too much killing in normal times, but it's different during wartime. How can there be no deaths in war? My previous investment in you was for this from the beginning. I've waited for so long, and it's time for me to reap the fruits. I thought the Zhao family was your main target. The Guardian Wu said with a warning. The matter of the Zhao family ends here. I hope you can forget about it. Does the Chuan Empire also have Daozang supported or controlled by your soul palace? Very perceptive, Yan Jin said casually. It's not hard to guess. I will cooperate with you, but I hope you can also cooperate with me to complete some things. The Guardian Wu asked. Don't worry, it won't conflict with your goal, nor will it be difficult. I'm just going with the flow. It's not convenient for me to take action. Okay. The Guardian Wu agreed to Yan Jin's request. By the way, where is your apprentice? The Guardian Wu took the initiative to ask about someone who impressed him. You mean Yan Meng? I sent him to do some things, and he will be back in a while. Well, let him do it as soon as possible. I want to have a war that is evenly matched and protracted, and the more people die, the better. Let that kid come and plan it. The Guardian Wu looked at Yan Jin and added, of course, I supported you, so I naturally hope that you will win in the end. The guardians in charge of the Chuan Empire are not as strong as me, so the final winner will be your Yunlin sect. Behind the main hall of the Yunlin sect, where all the past sect masters or people who have made great contributions to the sect are enshrined, Yan Jin looked at a tightly closed door with a worried look in her eyes. Yangren, I hope you are safe. She turned and left the main hall. When she passed the square, she saw two young men in moon-white sect uniforms fighting. Both of them used the fighting skills of the Yunlin sect, but they looked a little eerie and strange, and they also exuded a cold aura. Her eyes became deep. In recent times, the fighting skills of the Yunlin sect, from the elders to some core disciples valued by the elders, have improved significantly. The entire Yunlin sect presented a prosperous scene. But she felt inexplicably uneasy. One can vaguely feel that there is a huge undercurrent hidden under this vigorous development. Sect Master, an older man, who looked to be in his 50s, walked up to Yan Jin where Yan Jin was standing and said hello, Elder Yundu. Yan Jin nodded slightly. Perhaps Xiao Yan's incident has stimulated the disciples of the sect. Recently, everyone has worked harder than before. Their cultivation has also increased a lot. Yundu said with a smile. I hope so. Yan Jin felt a little vigilant in her heart. Yundu and Yuncha have made the most obvious and fastest progress among all the elders, and the cold aura on their bodies is also noticeable. She once mentioned this matter to Yunshin, but Yunshin just said I know without giving any suggestions, nor did he appear surprised or surprised. It was obvious that he had already discovered this situation. Or in other words, it was her teacher herself who brought about the change point. Therefore, although Yan was wary and suspicious, she still maintained restraint and did not adopt a more radical way to test point. After communicating with Yan and determining the general goal, Protector Wu left Yunlin sect point. He flew towards the Izumo Empire in the north. One day later, he came to a remote mountain stream, and a familiar yet unfamiliar wave of fighting energy came from a distance. The bird protector flew straight over there without hesitation. At the bottom of the mountain stream, a river flows quietly. There is a huge boulder protruding from the water on the river. On top of the boulder stands a figure wearing a black robe, with a light mist lingering on his body. There is also a big word soul written on the back of the black robe. The bird guardian flew down and landed on the other side of the boulder. He asked with some confusion, "Who are you? Where is the Iron Guardian?" The Iron Protector is the protector responsible for the affairs of the Izumo Empire. He has made an agreement with the Wu Protector to jointly start a war between the Izumo Empire and the Gamma Empire. They originally made an appointment to discuss the follow-up development and the distribution of those high-end souls here, but now the Iron Protector is nowhere to be seen, and a strange face comes. "I am Protector Meng. Protector Iron will not come. Now I will take over some of his arrangements in the Izumo Empire." Protector Meng pinched the monocle on his right eye and showed a smile. A chain suddenly protruded from the black mist and pierced towards Protector Meng. With a calm expression, the latter condensed a black sphere in his palm and pressed it against the stabbing chain. With a bang, the chain was bounced off, the two collided, fighting energy burst out, and the turbulent airflow rapidly spread to the surroundings. "Guardian Wu, what do you mean by this?" Protector Meng retreated slightly using the power produced by the collision. I just want to confirm whether you are qualified to cooperate with me." Guardian Wu didn't seem to hear the anger in Guardian Meng's tone. Protector Meng narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a smile, "As for Protector Bird, you should pay more attention. Maybe at some point, I will also want to confirm your qualifications as Protector." The Bird Protector didn't pay attention. He let out a low laugh and said, "Since you replaced the Iron Guardian and took over the affairs of the Izumo Empire, let's proceed as agreed before." Chapter 498. No Demon Ape. Xiao Yan finished his training in the Xianfen refining key tower. The fire poison brought by the fallen heart flame was not a problem for him. King Meng could easily solve it. Fire energy was not a constraint. Xiao Meng sent a large number of fire energy points to Xiao Yan through Xiao Mingru Point. Although the fallen heart flame increased the speed of training significantly, the speed brought by taking natural materials and treasures was obviously faster than this kind of training. He was looking forward to the earth core tempering body milk mentioned by Xiao Mingru Point at the agreed time. He came to Xiao Mingru's residence and found that the other party was already waiting at the door. Even though the time-related characteristics have not been activated, Amon still has a strong sensitivity to time and can accurately perceive time without any reference point. However, he still habitually went out a little earlier to wait. What surprised him was that Xiao Yan came on time again. Not a minute more, not a minute less. Looking at Xiao Yan who walked in front of him, Xiao Mingru smiled and said, "You came just in time. I was thinking that, if you were late, even for a second, I would go find someone else. Isn't this just in time?" Xiao Yan touched his nose. "I hope that you will always be just right on the road of life." Xiao Mingru raised the corner of his mouth and outlined a slightly weird smile. "The place is a bit far, let's go there." As he said that, Xiao Mingru jumped up, and the green Daoki wings behind him spread out and flew towards the vast mountains and forests outside the courtyard. Xiao Yan quickly used the purple cloud wings and followed closely behind him. Such a high-profile way of traveling attracted the attention of many inner courtyard students. Flying is not prohibited in the inner courtyard, but even the Daowang elders rarely travel by flying. When they saw the wings behind Xiao Mingru and Xiao Yan, envy appeared on their faces. Although it is not a real Daowang level Daoki wings, as long as it can fly, it has made most students look up to it. After breaking through to the 3-star Dowling, Xiao Yan's Daoki has become much more powerful, which is enough to support him to use flying fighting skills for daily travel. The two flew for a long time, and the trees in front gradually became sparse. Zhao Mingru suddenly changed direction and dived into the forest below. Zhao Yan also quickly changed direction and dived down. Zhao Mingru restrained his breath and quickly advanced into the forest. Zhao Yan followed suit and restrained his breath, but his method of restraining his breath was not very good, and he needed to move quickly, so there were obvious fluctuations. However, seeing that Zhao Mingru did not seem to take this tiny fluctuation to heart, he did not let Yao Chen use his soul power to cover him. After about 5 or 6 minutes of shuttling through the forest, the view in front suddenly became clear, and a small valley with a good-shaped entrance appeared in front of them. There was a huge stone next to the valley entrance, and a white giant ape with a body of 4 feet was sitting on the stone. To rest. It supported its elbows on its legs and its right fist against its head, as if thinking about life. It's this, the snow demon sky ape? Zhao Yan was surprised. Well, it's this guy. I'll hold him back while you sneak in, Zhao Mingru said. Zhao Yan wanted to discuss the specific countermeasures, but found that his friends had already rushed up. This is too imprudent, he silently complained in his heart, and suppressed his breath even more. The snow demon sky ape saw Zhao Mingru and suddenly became alert and screamed, "Human, it's you again. Hurry up and retreat. I cannot pursue your offense." From the attitude of the snow demon sky ape, Zhao Yan found that it seemed to be very afraid of Zhao Mingru, otherwise there would be so much nonsense, and it would directly punch him. "Give me the earth core tempering body milk, and I will leave," Zhao Mingru said in a somewhat provocative tone, looking for death. The snow demon sky ape had some rationality, but not much. After being provoked like this, it immediately became angry, condensed ice crystals on its hands, formed a pair of claws, and grabbed Zhao Mingru. The extreme of wind meteorite. A bunch of green long swords gathered behind Zhao Mingru, and then they were overwhelming the snow demon ape. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yan felt cold in his heart. At the end of the previous fire energy hunting competition, he did not attack him in this way. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed that the other party let him go at that time, and Zhao Mingru and he didn't know each other at that time. After thinking about it, the only reason for the other party to let him go was Zhao Meng. Zhao Yan remembered Zhao Meng's support and protection for him when he was down and out, remembered the smile on her face when she gave him the sea heart flame, remembered the reluctance and sadness when she told him that she might leave, and couldn't help but clenched his fists. "Zhao Meng, no matter how dangerous your family is, no matter what attitude they hold towards me, I will find you." Zhao Mingru's attack penetrated the snow demon ape's defense, and it was torn apart. The pain continued to stimulate this 5th level monster, causing it to gradually lose its mind. A more violent and terrifying aura rose up. It went berserk. A pair of grey-white wings appeared on its back. It flew into the sky and rushed towards Zhao Mingru. The latter did not fight head-on with the snow demon sky ape that entered this state, but quickly retreated and distanced himself. His Daoqi wings quietly changed their shape and became like airplane wings. Although such Daoqi wings are not good at turning and moving, they are much faster in long-distance flight. Seeing the two entangled and fighting further and further, Zhao Yan made a quick decision and ran into the valley. The valley was very empty, with trees and rocks everywhere, but no other living creatures. He spread his purple cloud wings, hovered in the air, and flew deep into the valley. Along the way, he saw the bare bones on the ground, the bodies of several recently dead monsters, the blood-stained ground, and the hearts, lungs, intestines and other organs scattered around the bodies. It seems that this snow demon ape is very violent and cruel, Zhao Yan whispered. Monsters are inherently violent, not to mention that the snow demon ape is also a notorious existence among monsters. Yao Chen communicated with Zhao Yan with soul power. Zhao Yan saw a dark cave at the end of the valley. He landed on the ground and walked quickly into the cave. The area of the cave was not small, and there were messy stones everywhere, and the white hair of the snow demon ape could be seen everywhere. After scanning the circle, Zhao Yan's pupils shrank, and his body stiffened. Deep in the cave, on a rock near the mountain wall, sat a brown-haired ape. Its breath was deep and ethereal. Zhao Yan could only feel its breath, when he saw it point and the faint power that was revealed unintentionally gave Xiao Yan great pressure, which even exceeded the pressure of the snow demon sky ape outside. Damn, how can there be such a terrible monster here? Zhao Mingru is not deliberately pitting me, right? He retreated slowly and cautiously, calling Yao Chen and King Meng in his heart, asking them to pay attention. At this moment, the brown ape suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Xiao Yan sharply. The latter's scalp was numb and his hair stood up. He no longer restrained his breath, and his whole body was full of fighting spirit. He fluttered his purple cloud wings and retreated quickly. The brown ape moved, and it picked up a wooden stick beside it. The lightning flashed under his feet, and the wooden stick stabbed towards Xiao Yan like a long sword. In a flash, Xiao Yan took out the Zuantang ruler and blocked it in front of him. The opponent's action gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity. The wooden stick hit the Zuantang ruler, and the huge force made Xiao Yan almost unable to hold the weapon. But this was much better than being knocked away and injured as he had expected at the beginning. Zilla, accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder, the brown ape suddenly flashed to the side and swung the wooden stick from top to bottom at a tricky angle. Xiao Yan's feet also flashed with lightning, and he instinctively turned his body sideways, and the Zuantang ruler used the power of sideways twisting his waist to hit him horizontally. The brown ape did a backflip and retreated flexibly, and then followed with several backflips in a row to distance himself. Familiar memories came to his mind, and Xiao Yan blurted out in surprise, "Ape Master? Chapter 499 Bait. Why are you here?" Xiao Yan couldn't help but ask, looking at the monocle on its right eye. "The fish in the Warcraft Mountains are not easy to catch, so I changed places and fished all the way, changing all the way, and then came here. I met the junior by chance and saw that I was eager to hunt, so I wanted to give some guidance. Who knew that this junior was so stupid, unable to educate?" Yuan Gong replied in a leisurely tone. "Have you ever thought that it's not the fish's fault that you can't catch fish?" Xiao Yan complained silently in his heart. Then, "Snow Demon Sky Ape is your descendant. It is an ape, and I'm also an ape, so I guess." The ape man responded. "So, I'm also regarded as an ape?" Xiao Yan was thinking like this when he suddenly saw a long object being thrown over and subconsciously caught it. "This is a fishing rod," the monkey man said very enthusiastically. "Let's go fishing." Xiao Yan couldn't refuse and followed Mr. Yu over the valley to a river behind. After one person and one ape through the pole, Xiao Yan felt that something was missing and subconsciously asked, "Mr. Ape, where is your fish basket?" This question resulted in a long silence. After a long while, the ape man finally answered, "All the rivers, lakes and seas are my fish baskets. I understand. You just put the fish you should have caught into the river." Xiao Yan thought silently in his heart. He was curious about the current state of the Monkey King. The corpse dancer crow, who claimed to be a friend of the Monkey King, had said that his days were numbered and his life was not long. "You seem to be different from before. You look much younger. Haha, my cultivation has improved a bit, and my lifespan has also increased a lot." Mr. Yuan replied with a smile. "By the way, how are you doing with the steps I taught you? Have you passed it on to your son?" Xiao Yan touched the back of his head and said humbly, "I don't have a son yet." Monkey King raised his right hand and adjusted his monocle, looking angry. Thought for a while and threw a medicinal plant to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan raised his hand to catch it, and a strange fragrance entered his nose. Just by smelling the smell, he felt unbearable. He suppressed the heat in his heart, took a closer look, and found that it was a 7th level aphrodisiac vine. "Why do you have all these things in your hands?" Xiao Yan's expression was very exciting. "Many children mean blessings. Many children mean blessings." As soon as he heard these 4 words, Xiao Yan felt a little dizzy. If he made another mistake, Zuna might not be able to forgive him. He decided to stay away from Monkey King and asked Xiaomeng and Zuna to try not to come to this area to avoid getting into trouble with the old monkey. Yao Chen suddenly spoke out to show his presence. "Xiao Yanzi, look at the bait on his hook." "What's wrong?" Xiao Yan looked towards the river. On the sparkling water, the fish floated up and down, and the fish hook sank in the deep water. It was not clear if I felt it right just now. The bait it uses for fishing is a jade bottle that exudes the smell of earth-center body tempering milk. Yao Chen reminded. HMM. Xiao Yan turned his head suddenly and stared at the water where the fish float was. The fish float suddenly moved as if it was bitten by something. Xiao Yan ignored the discussion with Mr. Yuan and jumped into the water to prevent the earth core tempering body milk from being eaten by fish. The ape master also subconsciously closed his rod. Xiao Yan grabbed the jade bottle as bait in one hand and a small fish less than the length of his index finger in the other hand, and was thrown ashore. A look of surprise appeared on Mr. Ape's face, and he looked at the small fish in Xiao Yan's hand very happily. Did I catch it? Xiao Yan looked at its happy expression and couldn't bear to tell the fact that the fish was just attracted but had not yet bit the hook, so he nodded against his will. He observed the jade bottle. There was a seal on the mouth of the bottle, revealing a gap. A milky white liquid flowed through the hollow special fishing line and into the bonefish hook. The top of the fish hook exuded a refreshing fragrance. Floats out from the top of the fish hook. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Mr. Ape really worked hard to catch fish. He coughed and asked, Mr. Monkey, the bait you use for fishing is monkey. King adjusted the monocle. You came here for it, right? Here you go. As it spoke, it threw a slightly larger jade bottle to Xiao Yan. The latter opened it and found a fluorescent, emerald-colored liquid inside. The liquid seemed to have spirituality, flowing slowly in the bottle, and he was amazed by its pure energy. This is... Xiao Yan had a look of confusion on his face. This is the real earth-tempered body milk. They are hidden at the point where the stalactite contacts the earth. Those milky white ones just flow out from the body, are diluted and drip under the stalactite. Yao Chen, the answer was given. He chuckled. I didn't expect that this monster is quite knowledgeable. It could find the real earth tempering body milk and preserve it so well. Monkey King was still as generous to him as ever. Xiao Yan was a little embarrassed and said, I will bear in mind the love of the Monkey King. If I can be of use, I will do my best. Really? A strange light flashed in Mr. Ape's eyes, and Xiao Yan suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. When will you pass on my body skills to your son? Sure enough, I knew it was thinking about this. Xiao Yan's face twitched, and it was a little difficult to control his expression. I don't have a son yet. Then go and have a son. Many children will bring you blessings. In the Taga Desert, a group of people in dark green robes were running fast in the desert. The leader was a man wearing an iron mask with only a pair of eyes exposed. The strong wind blew up the sand, and fine sand grains flew in the air, blocking the viewpoint. A rattlesnake buried in the sand, with a color almost the same as the sand, and difficult to distinguish, slowly poked its head out, and its snake tongue vibrated. It smelled the strange smell of people in the air. It instinctively wanted to pass these to its master through their unique contact method. This is a venomous snake controlled by the sentinels of the snake people, which can play a role in preventing alarms. However, these people in dark green robes seemed to be well prepared. They accurately and efficiently cleaned up the venomous snakes they encountered along the way, leaving them no time to pass on the message. A small settlement of the snake people appeared in their sight. The people in dark green clothes approached quickly under the cover of wind and sand. Don't leave anyone. A hoarse and cold voice came from the leader's steel mask. The crowd dispersed, and they rushed into this small settlement and started killing. Screams rang out, and soon returned to calm. Such scenes also occurred in various directions of the desert close to the Izumo Empire. The Taga Desert belongs to the Gamma Empire, but it is not actually ruled by the Gamma Empire. The people living on this land are the Snake People. With the support of the Soul Palace, the Izumo Empire declared war on the Gamma Empire without declaring war. Contrary to their usual practice, they did not choose those human cities that directly bordered the Izumo Empire, but took the Taga Desert as the breakthrough direction. Chapter 500 Changes in the Xiao family. Xiao Yan returned to the inner courtyard and saw Zhao Mingru with a gloomy face at the door of the residence. He scratched his head in embarrassment. Seeing that Mr. Ape was so happy, he was dragged to go fishing again. It took too long. It was only after he got the earth tempering body milk that he remembered that classmate Zhao Mingru was still with the snow demon. Xian Yuan fought fiercely. When he went back to find Zhao Mingru, he and the snow demon sky ape had disappeared. He scratched his head in embarrassment and smiled. Well, classmate Zhao, I thought you died in that valley. I fought with that monkey for 2 hours. Zhao Mingru said in a cold voice. Zhao Yan knew that any explanation at this time would be in vain, so he took out a jade bottle with half of the earth's core tempering body milk in a very practical manner. Fortunately, I lived up to my fate, Zhao Yan said with a smile. Zhao Mingru's expression softened a lot. He nodded at him and walked towards his residence without saying a word. Zhao Yan was just about to go to Xianfen Key refining tower to practice, but he saw Hu Jia running over in a hurry. Zhao Yan, go to the outer courtyard quickly. Your eldest brother and second brother are here. It seems something happened to the Zhao family. Zuna and Xiaomeng have already passed. When Zhao Yan heard this, his expression suddenly changed, and he immediately ran towards the inner courtyard, where the griffin beast was parked. When we arrived at the place, a griffin beast was ready to go. There is a thin old man on the back of the griffin beast. He is the elder of the inner circle, Elder King, whom he met before the fire energy hunting competition. He smiled and said to Zhao Yan, come up, I will give you a ride. Zhao Yan thanked him and jumped on the back of the griffin beast. The huge griffin flapped its wings, stirred up strong winds, and soared into the sky. Under normal circumstances, the communication between the inner courtyard and the outer courtyard is very limited. It is not that easy for students to get out of the inner courtyard. They need to go through a set of review procedures. However, for the sake of the two geniuses Xiaomeng and Zhao Yan, Elder King did not have any difficulty and provided convenience. Zhao Yan was so anxious that after the griffin flew for a long time and could see Cannon City in the distance, he couldn't wait to spread his purple cloud wings and rush towards the academy. Arriving at the entrance of the college, Xiaomeng, who had been waiting for a long time, waved to him. Cousin Zhao Yan, this way. Under the leadership of Xiaomeng, he came to the Yajing Pavilion where Instructor Ruolin lived. Xiaomeng opened the door directly and walked in with Zhao Yan in a hurry. When they walked to the hall, Instructor Ruolin was sitting on a chair with a worried look on her face. Teacher Ruolin, Zhao Yan greeted politely. Go in. Your eldest brother and second brother are here. I don't know what they said. Jua was crying so hard. Go and see for yourself. Ruolin looked sad. Zhao Yan quickly walked through the hall and walked to a room at the back. He knocked on the door creaked open, and it was Zhao Yu who opened the door with a pale face and a haggard expression. When she saw Zhao Yan, she cried wow again, and Zhao Yan was stunned. He had never seen Zhao Yu look so weak in front of him. Don't cry, don't cry. Tell me if you have anything to say. What exactly happened? Zhao Yan persuaded in a panic. Xiaomeng walked forward silently, patted Zhao Yan on the shoulder, and motioned for him to walk in. After entering the house, Xiaomeng closed the door. The atmosphere in the house was depressing and suffocating. Zhao Yan saw a bed and the man lying on the bed at a glance. Looking at the man with closed eyes and a pale face, Zhao Yan couldn't help shouting, second brother. Next to the bed, there was another man sitting with a somewhat scholarly temperament. It was Xiaoding. Xiaomeng, Zuna, and Xiaomei were all sitting on chairs nearby. Ahem. Xiaoli coughed and sat up with his hands on his hands. Second brother, what happened? Who hurt you like this? Zhao Yan stepped forward quickly. It's okay. When I was passing through the Black Corner domain, I had a little conflict with someone and was injured. Xiaoli replied. After Zhao Yan used his soul to explore, he judged that, although Xiaoli was a little weak, it was not a big problem. Sometimes, fights between students in the inner courtyard result in more serious injuries than this. However, his heart did not relax, but became even more tense. If only Xiaoli was injured, Zhao Yu would not behave like this, and the atmosphere at the scene would not be so heavy. He looked at Xiaoding, who hesitated for a moment, and finally said in a slow, trembling voice, the Zhao family is gone. Zhao Yan was stunned for a moment, his mind went blank, and he seemed unable to digest the news. After a long time, he asked in an unbelievable tone, What do you mean? The Zhao family was wiped out. Only a few of us are left. Xiaoding replied in a hoarse voice full of pain. Xiao Yan's face suddenly turned pale, and he took 3 steps back. Xiao Meng quickly stepped forward to support him, so that he would not fall. After a while, Xiao Yan asked with red eyes, "What's going on? Where is my father?" "Dead. All dead. The first elder, the second elder, my father. No one from the Xiao family in Wutan City is alive. What's going on? Who did?" Xiao Yan asked with a ferocious expression on his face, and gritted his teeth. Xiaoding and Xiao Li looked at Yan Meng. Xiao Yan followed their gazes, and frowned as he looked at this young man wearing Yunlin Zhangai's white uniform with an expressionless face. Yan Meng answered in a calm, emotionless tone, "Let me answer this question. According to the last intelligence I received, it was the Jiao family and the Oba family who attacked the Xiao family. They seemed to be dissatisfied with the expansion of the Xiao family in Wutan City, so they joined forces to eliminate it. But I only know this little bit. Yunlin sect passed the news to me as soon as it received it, and no further investigation has been conducted. But I think there are probably many hidden secrets behind this matter. First of all, it is strange that the Jiao family and the Oba family suddenly joined forces to attack the Xiao family. Even if they have common interests, they will not provoke such a big dispute casually, because they are enemies of each other. If the Xiao family is gone, they will be each other's biggest competitors. You are. Xiao Yan looked at him with a puzzled look. My name is Yan Meng, and I'm Yan Yan's junior brother. I came here on the orders of my senior sister to give you something. Yan Meng showed a gentle smile on his face. Yan. Xiao Yan's eyes showed some longing and tenderness, which quickly disappeared. The Xiao family's affairs occupied his entire mind, and he had no time to think about these romantic affairs. Yan Meng said to Xiao Yan, "Let's talk alone. It won't take up too much of your time." Looking at his deep eyes, Xiao Yan glanced at Xiao Meng and Zuna, hesitated for a moment, and agreed. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.